Welcome, Cowboy fans, Cowboy haters alike, and the rest of the NFL if you happen to come around. I'm the G, and I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we're going to talk some facts. Let's talk facts. Crazy. This is one of the most fun times around the NFL to me. I hate the fact that the Cowboys are not in this thing. What's going on, Lord? Daniel, Jared, Wicked, what's going on? What's going on, LaQueen? What's going on, Danny? Troy, Dudley, what's going on? Richard, what's going on? Man, I am telling you, I wish the Cowboys were in serious contention. You know, we're going to listen to some stuff that Micah Parsons was talking about today. And I understand what Micah's trying to do. Micah's trying to stay optimistic in a sense, but I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the Cowboys are reaching a critical juncture in the season. The Cowboys are reaching a juncture that it's not even going to matter if they win out if a couple of these teams keep winning. It's not going to matter. And so, I just wish the Cowboys were really in it because, it's strange to me because with the way the NFC is, I think the Cowboys would have a better opportunity this year if Jerry would have ran it back. And it's funny to me because I'm hearing Micah Parsons now screaming, hey, let's run it back. Let's run it back. What's going on, Daniel? Talking about let's run it back and all of this stuff. And I'm like, I wish you would have been crying this last year. The team y'all should have ran back was the Dallas Cowboys squad from last year. That's the squad they should have ran back. And so now they're in a situation where, they need everybody. And I'm telling you, when you need everybody to win and everybody to lose and it to snow in April, what's going on, Miss Matrix? When you need all these things, it's not even fun. But, man, the way this thing is shaping up, I really do wish the Cowboys were in it, man, because it's just not the same. I don't think it's the same for the NFL when the Cowboys are not in it. Whether it's false optimism or not, it's just not the same when the Cowboys are not in it. I want to go around some scores. This week. I think there was some very interesting scores. We'll look at some things around the NFL, and then we'll come back and we will come back and we will start talking more about the Cowboys. But we saw where the Detroit Lions, they inked it out this past Thursday. And one of the things I like about a lot of these types of teams is you just got to give it up, man. Teams, they're just finding ways to win. That's what it's about when you start getting down to this point in the season. You just got to find ways to win because, I have to admit, as much as we don't like to, it's hard to win in this league. It is hard to win in this league. And I understand why the Cowboys are kind of giddy about winning a couple of games because they feel like they're in it. But it's hard to win in this league, y'all. It really is. We're going to look at the playoff picture. Let's look at the playoff picture, and we'll kind of run around the NFL, kind of looking at what happened today because one of the things that happened to the Dallas Cowboys, y'all, if you didn't pay attention, the Cowboys actually did not get help this week. Some of the worst things that could have happened to the Cowboys happened. And I want to go first. Let's see where I want to go first. I thought one of the craziest games today, and let me show you something that I had put together and I forgot. I had skipped over this particular page when I did my preview, and I'm gonna go through my preview again tomorrow. But there was a couple of games that affect the Dallas Cowboys that I had on upset alert, and I forgot to cover this. But there were 2 games that I had on upset alert. And the 2 games that I had on upset alert was the Panthers and the Eagles. Panthers almost pulled it off. And the Bills versus the Rams. Those were my 2 upset alert games, because I'm telling us, folk do not understand. We keep talking about the Bengals. Boy, y'all don't understand. The Panthers are playing different. A lot of people don't understand. The Panthers are playing different. The Panthers, they took the Bucs to overtime. We got to play the Bucs. Now, the Panthers, they played, you could almost say they played the Eagles better than us. And so now we're going to be seeing the Panthers the week after the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm telling y'all, man, folk think the Cowboys about to run the gauntlet on this schedule. Cincinnati is the least of our worries. And I won't say they're the least of our worries. Let me think who could be the least of the Cowboys' worries. I don't think they have the least of any worries now. The Cowboys literally they're in a situation that, it's funny we're talking like this. I really believe we should just be in evaluation mode. I really think that's where we should be. But because we've won a couple of games, it's hard to win in this league. But the way we won those games, I'm kind of like, hey, people, pump the brakes. We let the doggone New York Giants score 20 points on us. Let's kind of pump the brakes and stop talking about, how we're on the upcoming. Let's play a few more games. Let's play a few more games because I'm even concerned about the rallying cry behind Mike McCarthy. The rallying cry. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as I go on. But again, I want to look back at some of these games. I want to just look at kind of just a quick overview of all of them, but I also want to look at the ones that truly, the ones that affected us. Let's see here. Kind of want to look at the ones that affected us in week 14. And I want to go to, I like this section on NFL.com. It's called What Did We Learn This Week? What did we learn in week 14? And they kind of go down the line. And so let's just kind of go down the line on some of these games. And so the one game they talked about, what did we learn? The New York Jets at the Dolphins. And the New York Jets at the Dolphins, what we learned this week, I don't know what their takeaways are. I hadn't read them, but I tell you this. What's going on, little Dallas Cowboy? Man, I tell you this. To watch Aaron Rodgers lose, knowing how good this man is, even in his old age, guys, people do not understand. Aaron Rodgers is still good. He's just not on a good team. And this is what I was talking about a couple of days ago, man. People got to understand players matter. Coaching matters. GM matters. Aaron Rodgers is getting, in a sense, what he sowed. He's reaping what he sowed. Because he'll say that he had nothing to do with Saleh, but I believe he had some things to do with Saleh. Daniel says the Eagles are getting extremely lucky in their 11 wins, and yet they are not better than the Lions. You know what, though? I'm going to show you something, Daniel. I was looking at this yesterday. Do not be surprised if the Philadelphia Eagles get the number 1 seed. Do not be surprised. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Do not be surprised if the Philadelphia Eagles get the number 1 seed. Because while we can say that the Eagles are getting lucky, well, could we not say the Detroit Lions are getting lucky? That Chicago Bears game, man, that's a strange game to me. That's a strange game in how that ended. That's a strange game. And so, what you're kind of seeing here at the end, Daniel, I think even with the Kansas City Chiefs, I just think what you're watching is these teams, when you win so many games and teams they start getting film on you. The more we go along, the more film they get, and teams start giving you their best shot. You think about a Panthers team, you gotta, we sometimes don't understand that when you're playing teams that they don't necessarily have anything to play for, but they're playing to get better, they're very unpredictable. I mean, they may just whip the whole kitchen sink out on you. I mean, try to win these games. And so I think what we're watching all the way down the stretch, and I think we're going to continue to see this. I mean, think about it. The Bills got beat by the Rams. And they keep talking about Joshua Allen or Josh Allen. I mean, there are two quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes aside, he deserves it. But I've never seen two quarterbacks praised like Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. I've never seen two quarterbacks praised like them, especially when they're putting up stats. I can't even say Justin Herbert is putting up stats, but Allen is putting up stats. Like today, he broke some kind of record, or three rushing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns and 3 passing touchdowns. And it's like when we talk about Dak, throw all the stats out the window. When we talk about Josh, I want you to think about how they were talking about Josh. They're talking about Josh, but he lost. Who talks about the losing quarterback? Who cares about a quarterback breaking records, losing? Who cares? But the NFL is gearing up because you have to understand something. Dak Prescott got all pro. So now we got to make sure Josh Allen gets one. We got to make sure Josh Allen gets an all pro this season. Which the reality is, if Joe Burrow wasn't losing, there'd be no way, because the reality is the MVP and the first team and second team all pro would more than likely, as far as the AFC goes, because even though Patrick Mahomes, he kind of did a little something today. He did Patrick Mahomes things. I said it before. I said it 3 weeks ago. Patrick Mahomes, to me, he's the smartest running quarterback in the league. He'll destroy you running because he's so smart. He's not the fastest. He's not the quickest, but he's smart. He knows when to run. He knows how to run. And so he's, to me, the smartest. Josh Allen is the scariest. He's the one you don't want to see coming. But the problem is, I think with Josh Allen, a lot of times, Josh tries to put the whole team on his shoulders. He tries to put the whole team on his shoulders, and he falls short sometimes. But they talk so much about Josh Allen. But the reality is, he probably still shouldn't get first or second team all pro, because that should go to Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow if Burrow was winning. Burrow is running circles around everybody right now. But the issue is, it's probably going to go to Josh Allen, because one of the things I will give Josh Allen this season is Josh Allen is not making the turnovers that he normally makes. And so, but again, I just want to kind of go through some of these, and I'm going to read some of your comments. Man, to watch the New York Jets and to watch Aaron Rodgers, it is sad how Aaron Rodgers, and I hope this isn't the last of what we see of Aaron Rodgers. I hope that he can maybe get another season or two, and maybe he could help. I don't think the Jets are going to bring him back, but maybe he can help a team win. Yes, sir. What's going on, Kevin Howard? Daniel says, even the Cowboys finish the season strong and not make the playoffs, they can still have a top 10 draft pick. Yeah, for me, I think the Cowboys should be turning more towards an evaluation, but the issue becomes you got some of them talking about this playoff run. And so the reality is, the playoff run didn't begin with the Washington Commanders and the New York Giants. The playoff run, if the Cowboys are going to make it, it begins tomorrow night. And that's why, to me, that game is going to be so exciting. Kevin Howard, what's going on? Minnesota. Woo, man. That's the next team I'm going to talk about here. And there's a travesty going on, Kevin. There's a travesty going on in Atlanta. There's a literal travesty going on in Atlanta. The Minnesota Vikings beat the Atlanta Falcons, and I figured they would beat them. This game actually helped the Cowboys. The Minnesota Vikings beat the Atlanta Falcons 42-21. And Kirk Cousins is going out like Willie Lump Lump. I'm sorry, man. Sam Darnold is having a crazy season. He really is. He's having a crazy season. But, you got to think about it. It's what I keep saying. People do not understand. Sam Darnold, as young as he is in a sense, he's been a journeyman quarterback already. But fate had it that he landed with the Minnesota Vikings, and they got weapons, y'all. They got weapons all around Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold is absolutely balling. They're balling. Everything they're doing, they're balling. He's got weapons all around him. Now, the problem is with Kirk Cousins got players around him, but he can't do it. Kirk can't do it no more. I think they're going to have to face the facts with Kirk Cousins. They're going to probably have to eat that salary cap money with Kirk Cousins. And I think what they're going to wound up doing, they're probably going to convert some of his money to a signing bonus. And I think Michael Penix Jr. is going to challenge him. I think Michael Penix Jr. is going to challenge him for that job. If they just don't flat out, I'd figure out a way with Kirk Cousins. I would probably just flat out cut Kirk Cousins. Because the reality is, when you look at Kirk Cousins' contract, they have designed this contract to basically get out of it. They designed this contract to get out of this thing by 2025. So I think this is going to be the out year on Kirk Cousins' contract. They may let him play next season, let him sit on the bench or whatever the case may be, or let him play starting out, and then they'll probably cut him to the bench. But he done. He'll be done after next year. And I'll be honest with you, if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I would probably go ahead and cut ties with that, because, you're not going to get out of the signing bonus. The signing bonus looks like about $50 million here. There's a $90 million guaranteed at signing. So you got the signing bonus plus the 2024 salary. So the 2024 salary and the 2025 salary fully guaranteed. You get to cut him right here. It says 2027 roster bonus, $10 million, fifth day of the league. Nope, cutting him. I'm not even worried about the rest. And as a matter of fact, like I said, I would probably go ahead and cut Kirk Cousins after this season. I don't know what you guys would do, but I would probably go ahead and cut Kirk Cousins, and I would go ahead and start the Michael Penix Jr. era. Kirk Cousins is looking terrible out there, and they got too much around him for him to be losing like that. Hey, Janie, what's going on? Not sleepy yet, so I thought I would learn something. Yes, hey, appreciate you. Minnesota's trying to catch up with the Lions for the NFC North, too. The next few games for Minnesota are the Bears, 49ers, and the Lions. And, you think about it, the Lions, man, when you look at the Lions, I was looking at this the other day. Man, when you look at the Lions' remaining schedule, man. This is no joke. Let's see if we can pull up their schedule. They made it past the Green Bay game. And so when you look at their last few games of the season, the one that I'm really concerned about, is the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills is going to be an absolute monster game for them. Monster game. Bears, they'll win it, but it's going to be a tough game. Watch this. Don't count the 49ers game as a win. Don't count it as a shoe-in victory. The 49ers are still alive in the playoff hunt. They are still alive. And if they can get a little bit healthy, they may be able to do something down the stretch. So when I think about the Bills and the Lions and the Vikings, I mean, I could easily, in the last 4, I could easily see the Bills splitting that. I could see the Bills splitting that. I mean, I'm sorry, the Bills. I could see the Lions easily splitting that, going 2-2. Going 2-2. Which would then put them at what, 14-3? I'm telling you, it's going to be tough. It is going to be a race to the finish. And Daniel, you said, so you're talking about for the next few games for the Minnesota's trying to catch up. The next few games for Minnesota or the Bears for, okay, you've already talked. Okay, you said theirs. Okay, so I think we're on the same page as far as that goes. Or maybe you think that maybe they're going to be able to pull it off. But, man, I think their last few games are going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And then when you look at Minnesota's remaining games, and we know, of course, one of those is with Detroit. Let's look at their remaining schedule real quick. Minnesota Vikings remaining schedule. See, these divisional games is what's really making this thing be really exciting. So when you look at the Vikings, their remaining schedule, theirs will be the Bears. They'll win it. Seahawks, not going to be an easy out. Vikings, not going to be an easy out. The Packers is not going to be an easy out, nor the Lions. So here we go again. The Vikings could easily lose the last 3. But they also, I see, where they probably will split some kind of way 2-2 on those. Because the pressure is on them. I mean, minus the Bears, and they better not sleep on the Bears, but minus the Bears. I shouldn't even say that. The Bears look so bad today. But minus the Bears, when you get to the Seahawks, they're playing extremely well. The Seahawks, the Vikings, and the Lions. The Vikings, 2 on the road, 1 at home, and the Packers can beat them at home. Division rivalry. I mean, I could see them losing 3 games. I could. So a lot of people, and I'm going to keep moving on down, but a lot of people are hating on the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, people can hate on the Philadelphia Eagles they want to. They have a great shot at being the number 1 seed. I'll get to them in a moment. They have a great shot at being the number 1 seed. Seattle helped out some today too, but I'm gonna show you the 2 games that really you can basically almost say put the nail in the coffin. We're gonna look at what's going on, Freddie. What's going on with you? Penix should get the start next week, Jared. It's time. I'm like, it's time for the Penix era, man. It's time for the Penix era. Man, Kirk has played those tricks straight up. Hey, man. Boy. Kirk done pulled the wool over some folks out of this last contract, Troy. Golly, man. This dude finna go home with $90 million. There are 3 records for the Cowboys to finish there for the season. It either going to be 10-7, 9-8, or 7-10, and it can go either way. Problem is, the only way they can get in is 10-7. The other ones don't work. And I'm going to show you that in a moment. The other ones are not going to work for the Cowboys. Freddie says, call me crazy, but in my humble opinion, the NFL should make up and enforce a rule whereby a contract cannot be renegotiated and a player cannot be cut until the contract is played. Man, they better not ever do that. Boy, they better not ever do that. Because, boy, you talking about some teams that would be stuck with some terrible quarterbacks. I mean, you know what? I just tell you, Freddie, I mean, if a team is willing to eat a contract like the Denver Broncos did, that's on them. That's on them. Let them do it. Yeah, Danny, you said Seattle saved us today, but I don't think Seattle saved us because that was the Cardinal game. The Cardinal game played somewhat into what we could do, but the Cardinal game was not pivotal. I'm going to show us as we go down the line the game that was pivotal. Daniel said, all right, Minnesota already beat San Francisco. My bad, I was trying to say the Lions. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that Lions and That Lions and Minnesota schedule are both hard. But the Eagles, people don't understand. I'm going to show their schedule when we get to it. Man, the Eagles, I don't understand all the hate on the Eagles. They're built to win. I know they got a loaded team. And I know people are mad because Jalen Hurts is not putting up 300-yard games. I'm going to go back to the Cowboys, and we're not comparing Troy Aikman to Jalen Hurts. But what I am saying is they have the kind of team that's built to win. It's a running team. Jalen doesn't have to throw 200 yards. That's how they built the team. Howie Rosen built that team like that. And people do not understand what they're watching. I mean, man, he's not putting up numbers. And I hear people, Devontae and A.J. Brown are fighting. Man, you don't know what you're watching. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are going to have to be patient. It's not their time yet. Until someone can stop the run, Kellen Moore is not going to take them out the box. Troy, I'm telling you, and people don't understand it. The Eagles have it easy. I'm not going to be shocked if the Eagles, because, watch this, because what the NFL did by putting all the divisional games at the end of the season, well, the NFC North, which is probably the strongest division, all got these good records. And so at the end of the day, only one of them can claim the number one spot. The other two fall in the wild cards. And what could easily happen is that they may be the very ones that eliminate each other. But the Philadelphia Eagles, the NFC East, without the Cowboys being strong this year, the NFC East is weak. It's weak. And so for Philly, having the divisional games at the end, the Commanders and the Cowboys, please. Cowboys at home, forget it. Forget it. The Philadelphia Eagles might literally march into the number one spot. Daniel says, I will say this though about the Cowboys' chances for tomorrow. If we can keep the Bengals on 30 points, we can win. There's the problem. I noticed something today. When you get to this point in the season, all the teams, all the winning teams, they are what they are. However they're trending, that's what they are. You think about it. The way Kansas City is winning, this is what they've been doing. They did it last week against the Raiders. Here they go again against the Buffalo Bills. Minnesota Vikings, they kind of been killing teams with big plays. Detroit Lions, we're watching their characteristic. What do? They score a lot of points. Ben Johnson's putting up big points. Now, the defense kind of showed its hand a little bit this week because they have a bunch of injuries on defense. I mean, you think the Cowboys had a bunch of injuries. Detroit got a bunch of injuries too. Bunch of injuries. And so they may now, thankfully, they've been scoring a lot of points, so they can put up a lot of points, and we've been watching that. The defense they're going to struggle a little bit down the stretch. But as far as their offense it is what it is. We're seeing these teams what they are. Even the Bills ain't getting beat today. They still put up points. Josh is still doing his thing. And I'm saying this about Joe Burrow. I saw this today, and I said, man, I got to come to – I've already been in this reality. But I'm sorry, the Bengals are what they are. They're a losing team with a great offense. And I don't think the Cowboys are going to change that. I don't think the Cowboys are going to change that. Cincinnati is what it is. It's a high-powered offense that not many defenses can stop. And I just don't think the Cowboys have the personnel to do it. I don't. Michael, I think Zimmer, we'll talk more about this tomorrow, but I think Zimmer is going to do what Zimmer's been doing. I think Zimmer will find a way to keep it close early. Problem is, though, I don't believe you can hold the Bengals like you did in 2022. I don't believe Zimmer can hold the Bengals like he did in 2022 because that personnel is way different. I don't think we have what we need to hold that team to 20 points, 27 points. And if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, the reality of what I want, the Cowboys and the Bengals to me want two different things. The Cowboys want time of possession. The Cowboys want to run the ball. The Cowboys want to limit Cooper Rush's throws. The Cowboys don't want to shoot out. The Cowboys want to win this ugly. Not the Cincinnati Bengals. Nope. Watch what I tell you. Cincinnati Bengals going to try to hit. I'm telling you, they're going to strike early and often. Cincinnati is not going to hold nothing back on the Cowboys. They're coming out for blood. And I don't think we can hold, at this point, I don't think we can hold a team like the Cincinnati Bengals from being what it is. Why? Because they're so far in the season. What they are doing, it's them. It's them. They've perfected it now. It's them. It's normal. 30-plus point games for them is normal. And they want this to go. They're laughing. I'm telling you, they're laughing at us. They're laughing at us, and I tell you, I guarantee you, even their defensive coordinator, they're laughing because they're knowing in their own minds, they got Cooper Rush. There is no way the Cowboys can score with us. The Cincinnati Bengals know full well what the Cowboys' plan is. I mean, these guys are all smart. They're smarter than me. They know what each other, they all know what each other is right now. They all know. The Bengals know what the Cowboys are. As much as we say, oh, the Cowboys are this, I still don't think we're comprehending. The New York bleeping Giants scored 20 points on this defense that we keep saying. What are we talking about? The New York bleeping Giants scored 20 points on this defense. What in the world do we think that Joe Burrow with his weapons are going to do to this team? Mike Zimmer in this defense, with as good as Overshown is, as good as Micah is kind of, and we're going to see that this is going to be a test for Micah down the stretch. But as good as we say Zimmer has them playing, the Giants still scored 20 points. The Giants, y'all. I'm sorry, you better let that sizzle in your spirit because that's crazy work. That's crazy work. The Eagles get lucky in their wins, but they do have an outstanding defense and a solid O-line. They can beat you in the trenches, and Barkley's the top 5 running back. Daniel, that's where they're beating teams. And that's why, for me, I love how they're winning because that's how you win in the playoffs. Who cares about all this flashy stuff and all the weapons they have? You pull them out of the box when you need them. You pull them out of the box when you need them. But guess what, y'all? Philly is what they are. They're a juggernaut running team. They're a juggernaut running team. And the part that people better accept sooner than later, Jalen Hurts is a part of their running game. That's what he is. He's a part of their running game. Fantasy football and highlights got people looking at sports wrong. Yep. For real. The real Daryl. They want all the flashy stuff. When you look at championship teams of the past, they didn't win like that. They didn't win. It was not always high-scoring games unless you had the elite of the elite offenses. But at the end of the day, I like the way Philadelphia is winning. I would love to be winning like that as the Cowboys. I would love to be winning like that. I would love right now if we still had Dak Prescott and we were winning games with Dak Prescott throwing the ball 20 times, throwing the ball 25 times, and we had a devastating run game because I know that when we would need it, Dak would be able to do it. And if we had the outside receivers that when we needed it, we could do it. And then we could set up, man, I'm telling you, people do not understand. Philly can beat you all kinds of ways, man. And they're not getting the credit. They're not getting the credit for it. Philly can beat you all kinds of ways. Yeah, the Eagles have had that number one playoff seed before, and what have they done with it? Well, I can tell you this. I really do think, though, Freddie, I think for all of them, even look at the way that the Detroit Lions is. See, the reason why I like Philly is that Philly is the type of team that can take a team like the Detroit Lions out into the deep and drown them. They have a defense that can take them out there because we've been watching Jared Goff. I've been making this argument. I made it the last time I was live. People, oh yeah, this and that about Dak. No, Jared Goff is average at best. But when you put weapons around him, of course he's going to look better than average. But he's been turning the ball over. He's been turning the ball over. And I give Ben Johnson credit because Ben knows how to settle him down. And Ben settles him down. He reels him in with that run game, and he gets Jared back on track. But they know what Goff is. Even Detroit knows Jared Goff's not throwing them he's not throwing them into the Super Bowl. It's going to take an entire team effort with the Detroit Lions. And what they really better rely on is that run game. And I think that's what they're going to do. The Steelers and Eagles game is going to be fun to watch. Yes. It could be a low-scoring game, and both teams have a talented defense. Yes. And they're both going to run the ball. They're both going to run the ball. But I tell you this, Daniel, getting back to the stories of the day, woo, man. Hey, man, this dude, Russell Wilson, man, Russell been looking different. Man, Russell been looking different, man. Russell balled today. Let's call our attention real quick to this game. Because I'm telling you, see, it's these kind of games right here that get people antsy and start saying that the Eagles aren't this and that. It's this game right here. See, the Carolina Panthers and the Eagles, it was a 22-16 game. It was a 22-16 game. The Eagles survived upstart Panthers. But don't let this fool you. Well, the Panthers did this also to the Bucs. They took the Bucs to overtime. They took the Bucs to overtime. It says Philly avoided any given Sunday letdown when Darius Slay's diving pass breakup on fourth down ended Carolina's final threat. It wasn't a pretty Eagles victory against a 3-win club, but Nick Sirianni would take it. See, this is what I like about the Eagles. I want us to get this mentality too. We got to stop caring how we win with Dak Prescott. Because have y'all not noticed? We don't care how we win with Cooper Rush. The fan base don't give a doggone how we win with Cooper Rush. They don't care if we win beating some trash cans together, bring someone out of the stands to kick a field goal in the praise of Brandon Aubrey, as long as we win with Cooper Rush. We don't think like this with Dak Prescott. But the Philadelphia Eagles are thinking like this with Jalen Hurts. We need to get to that point too. And even Dak Prescott, in my opinion, I think Dak need to stop listening to people and just win any way you can. Do y'all know this is what Patrick Mahomes is doing? Patrick Mahomes isn't letting people hold him to what he did here and what he did there. Nope. Patrick Mahomes won an ugly game today. Patrick Mahomes' probably last 4 to 5 games have been ugly wins, but they're winning them. We got to get this mentality in our fan base. It's just like how people keep talking about Jalen Hurts. I don't understand how you can talk about a team that's winning. They're winning, and we're talking bad about them, and we're losing. We won 2 games in a row. The reality is we're losing, but we're on a win streak now, and we'll talk better about our team than we will a team that's actually built to win. And I know we hate the Eagles, but I think we can learn some things. This is why I don't hate on these teams, because I think we can learn some things from these teams. I just think people need to look at the big picture. The big picture is winning. The big picture is winning. And sometimes especially when you're carrying on these long win streaks, the wins get uglier and uglier. They do. They do. Because the more you win, the more teams give you their best shot. There's a reason why I've told you this before. I used to tell my sons, whenever you go against the sorriest team in the league or the sorriest team in your district, you play them like the best team in your district. You find reasons to say, this team could beat us. You put the whole team on alert and say, hey, man, let's not sleep on this team. They got this player that can do that, and that player that can do this, and the defensive guy can do this. You make yourself be in the mode of, we give everybody our best shot. Because if you don't give everybody your best shot, you better believe they're giving you their best shot. Who don't want to knock off a 10-1 team, 11-1 team? Who don't want to knock them off? Who don't want to be the team that knock off an undefeated team? Well, who doesn't? So you got to always be on alert, and teams are just giving you their best shot. The Real says, I don't trust Dan Campbell after he tricked up the NFC Championship game in San Francisco last season. Philly should win the NFC and play KC or Buffalo in the Super Bowl. And you know what? But I'm going to tell you, the Real Daryl, hey, Dan Quinn just telling you up front, he coming to win. I mean, we saw what he did against Green Bay. He didn't go ahead and kick that field goal then. He said, I'm going to get the first down so they don't get the ball back. And you know what? I think about stuff like that. And I think about how the Dallas Cowboys lost in Dak Prescott's rookie season. I think about stuff like that, and I just wonder if the Dallas Cowboys hadn't have panicked and said, we're going to run the ball, we're going to make sure that Green Bay uses all their timeouts, and we're going to figure out how to make this clock keep running so that by the time Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers get it, there'll be no time left on the clock. They're doing it crazy. Steph said the Bengals, what's going on, Steph? The Bengals has a lot of big bodies, and the Cowboys will struggle with that. Cowboys are too small. Yeah, what kind of streamline? That's that Dan Quinn effect. I think that's some of that Dan Quinn effect. Paul said, I have to agree with you. I think the Bengals are going to smash the Cowboys and demoralize them for another week, make them question. Paul's going to make them question their careers. Gabe, what's going on? He said, I think some of the Dak haters have gravitated towards Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. You know what? And like I said, I'm talking about Jalen Hurts the way I wish people would talk about Dak. He's winning. And we have to stop putting pressure on quarterbacks to do certain things because they have certain players. You win any way you can. And if you can dominate a game, you dominate a game. But if you can't, you win it. You win it any way you can. Daniel says, yet the Cowboys know that Burrow does, and last time Burrow was here, he lost to Cooper Rush, and the defense had him 17 points. I'm telling you, Daniel, Jamar Chase has already made that blatantly clear. That's on his mind. That man said he losing sleep. He coming to play. I'm telling you. Jalen Hurts focuses on one game at a time. He does not get ahead of the schedule. Nope. And for me, that's where I am with us. See, we're already ahead of the schedule, and we're watching who's winning. We just got to watch the Cowboys. If I'm on the team. Now, us, we can do what we want to do. But the team needs to just be focused on the Bengals. The Real Darryl says, if Burrow loses the Cooper Rush again, should Cincinnati... Hey, Real Darryl. If you go by Cowboy standards, Joe Burrow needs to be cut immediately after the game if he loses the Cooper Rush. He needs to be cut immediately. And so does Dak Prescott. Because Cooper Rush better than both of them. Should Cincinnati get rid of Burrow to fight their quarterback? I'm just saying. Nah, I think the problem is with Cincinnati, they don't have a defense. Dagan says, Michael Overshawn, Olsen, Mozzie, and Kendricks better be beating the Bengals in the trenches. Yep. Tomorrow night, because that Bengals O-line is bad and they need 5 sacks total. Yep. Barkley is going to break the single-season rushing record. Woo, man, that's a tough record to break. But Barkley, the only way he's going to do it, he's going to have to break a couple of more big runs. Jerry said, this is the same Kirk Cousins that Shady McCoy said repeatedly was better than Dak Prescott. Yes, amazing how all that stuff never come to fruition. That boy Kirk, boy, woo. Jerry said, I got to get a degree on the golf opinion. He's not average. He's a good quarterback. Okay, so let's call him good. But the problem is, even Goff being good, Goff, and I don't want to say Goff has been turning the ball over. But I appreciate the fact that they have such a good team and they have so much. Their team is built, Daniel, and I can appreciate this. Jared, I can appreciate this. Jared Goff has thrown some interceptions this season. He threw 5 against the Houston Texans. And nowhere did you see the team talking bad about him. Nowhere. They have a team that when Jared Goff makes a mistake, the team says, Jared Goff, we got your back. Ben Johnson says, okay, Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson says, hold on a second. We got to settle Jared Goff back down. Let's run the ball 2 or 3 times, and then we'll get Jared Goff some easy throws. See, I've been hearing some of these guys say this, like Tom Brady. Tom Brady says, make the game easy for your quarterback. Make it simple for him. In other words, when you see him getting a little wild on his throws, okay, settle him back down. Run the ball. And then when he throws it again, give him easy throws. Give him some screens. Give him some outs. Settle him back down. And so Jared Goff, I'll give him a good quarterback. But at the same time, you don't need an elite quarterback to win. I said that already anyway. But what you need is a team. And Jared Goff has a team around him. And he's got a team that'll pick up the slack. And our problem is we don't think like that. I mean, we got players on the doggone team. The moment someone makes a mistake, we losing our mind. Settle down. Forget the last play. Dak had been preaching that, but some of them don't believe this. Settle down. Let's keep playing. We'll get back in this thing. And that's how the Detroit Lions kind of play. They're going to either stay in it. If they don't beat you down, they're going to stay in it, and they're going to stay in close proximity. And when they get their chance, they're going to take it, win, lose, or draw. And I shouldn't even say draw, because Dan Campbell ain't coming for overtime. He ain't coming for ties. He going to win or lose. Daniel says the Eagles are favored by 13 points against Carolina. We're favored 13 points by Carolina, won by 6 points. It goes to show you that Carolina's playing hard at 3-10. And if I'm the Cowboys, even if we beat Cincy, don't overlook, the Carolina Panthers is a team we need to be worried about. They got players. They've been playing extremely good ever since Bryce Young got put into the starting lineup again. This Eagles team is real. I believe it too, Daryl. They're built to win. Goff is not a good quarterback. He froze over the other win with his arm in the Super Bowl last season against San Francisco. And see, real Daryl, think about this. And this is exactly how they built this team, and I love it. This team is built not to rely on Goff's arm. That's how it's built. That's why they went and got him Montgomery and Gibbs. That's why they got him a 2-headed monster running game to where you can't stop that 1-2 punch. And it settles. And the good thing about a run game like that, it settles Goff back down. It lets him reset. And that's the thing that we don't have for Dak Prescott. When Dak gets a little rattled, Dak gets anxious. Dak sees the defense. There's a play made on the defense. Dak sees, wait a minute, there's 10 points on the scoreboard. I got to do more than what I need to be doing. Settle down, Dak. We got running backs. We'll get us back in the game. Let's run the ball a couple of times. Let Dak get his mind back together. And then the next time Dak throws, let's get him an easy one. We don't think like this. This is my problem with Mike McCarthy. We're going to talk about him a little bit later. This is my problem with Mike McCarthy. If Mike McCarthy comes back, I just think the Cowboys shouldn't let him be the OC. They just shouldn't let him be the OC. They got to get a better OC than him. And don't let Mike tell this OC nothing about the plays on offense. And they need to get a good one. Jay Army says, we need to draft Arch Manning in the draft. Sorry, Dax is beginning to get injury prone. You're not, but the problem is, while I'm not going to disagree with you, but from everything I'm looking at, Manning is what? Two years down the road. And so I've already said the Cowboys won't draft a quarterback till 2027. So if Arch Manning is available in 2027, why not? But the problem is, Jay Army, the other problem that we're going to have, we're not going to be able to get Arch Manning. He's going to be he's probably going to be the number one drafted quarterback in the draft that year. We're not sniffing. As long as this team has Dak Prescott, it's not ever getting in the top 10. It's not. It's not getting in the top 10 with Dak Prescott. And I'm telling you, you can tell by the way Dak is talking, and you can tell how the way this team is talking. I believe that Jerry Jones is going to do something very uncharacteristic of this modern day Jerry Jones. I think they're going to go get some players. And I think one of the things they're going to do in the draft, I think their top two positions, I think their top three picks in the draft in any order: wide receiver, running back, defensive end. I think that's the top three picks in the draft for them. And you got to think about it. Those three picks alone will turn this team. You think about it. The reason why this team right now is 5-7 is injuries. And one of those injuries is Dak Prescott. The injuries that happened on defense. This team has been riddled by injuries, and it's still 5-7. Dak still got 3 wins with this team. Cooper Rush now has gotten 2 wins with this team. So you get this team back healthy, get them some depth, go in the draft, get 3, just those 3 players alone, and then you can get some other pieces to stick in there, because I still say they need to get 2 running backs. But the first one you get, he needs to be in the second, minimum second, at the least, at the latest, the third. Because if they don't get Genty, there are too many great running backs in this draft. The kid from Carolina, the kid from Ohio State. They're just going to be out there everywhere for the Cowboys to get. This draft is actually a weak quarterback draft. This is a great draft not to need a quarterback. Because after Shador, it's slim pickings. After the first 3 quarterbacks, it's going to be slim pickings. And so Arch Manning is probably going to be about, 2 drafts away? So, hey, if he there, get him. I don't think we can get him because we're not going to be bad enough to get him. That's going to be a top 3. He will be whatever team is in the top 3, top 5, they'll get him. We'll never touch in the top 5 with Dak Prescott. And I'm not buying. Dak Prescott's not injury prone. You got to think about the injuries. See, injury prone are the soft tissue injuries. Dak Prescott has had some real injuries. Getting your ankle twisted around to the side, that's not injury prone. That's someone doing an insane drop hip tackle on you that breaks your foot. Dak Prescott breaking his thumb, I think it was, hitting a helmet. That's not injury prone. That's not a soft tissue injury. This happens to quarterbacks quite a bit. They hit someone's helmet, and you're lucky if you don't get it broke, but Dak got that broke. And then when you think about the hamstring, if it was the regular hamstring injury, I'd be more worried than the one that gets torn off the bone, because those get repaired and you don't typically have problems with those no more. You don't have problems with them no more. But the question really is, to me, as I don't think Dak is injury prone, where I'm worried is there something in general wrong with his right leg? But I don't think Dak's going to be Tony Romo. People keep saying stuff like, oh, Dak's not going to play. Yes, he will. Dak's going to finish this contract out. Dak will do 3 years of this contract. You can book it. What Dak's going to do is Dak is going to get out here and start taking care of his body even better. That's what he's going to do. He's already said that's what he's going to do. I said it before he started talking about it. I said Dak need to get him a running coach. He's already talking about it. That's what he's going to do. He's going to get him a coach separately that's going to help him to be more flexible. Working on those joints, those tendons of flexibility. Because, Dak was looking a little stiff this year. He was. Daniel, I also want to talk about Zach Martin topic. He's been dealing with these ankle injuries so long. He's 34 years old. He's Hall of Fame for sure, but we need to have that conversation on Martin. You know what? I think they've already had the conversation. Zach Martin was already going to be gone. If you look at his contract, we looked at it the other day. Zach Martin was already going to be done, already going to be gone. The Cowboys were not going to sign him again. But watch what I tell you. Zach Martin's not retiring. He's not. He's too good. Zach Martin's not retiring. Zach Martin's going to get his body together. That's why he did what he did. Zach does not mind now getting that surgery because he knows this season is over. And if it's not over, he's saying it's over for me. And I'm about to pull a DeMarcus Lawrence. Y'all don't understand why DeMarcus Lawrence ain't playing. I keep telling y'all why he's not playing. DeMarcus Lawrence said, I'm not going out like that. I know exactly what he means. He's not playing hurt. He's already said it. He's not playing hurt. He's not playing 90%, 95, 99. DeMarcus Lawrence doesn't touch that field for the Cowboys unless he's 100%. And you watch what happens if he does touch that field. DeMarcus Lawrence is going to be tipping out there. I promise you. DeMarcus Lawrence is not trying to get hurt. You know why? Because he knows the Cowboys aren't going to sign him either. I thought about this the other day. Do not be surprised. Do not be surprised. I wouldn't be shocked if Zach Martin is playing for the Cincinnati Bengals next year. I wouldn't. I would not be surprised if he's playing for the Cincinnati Bengals. Folk don't understand something. When Zach Martin gets healthy and the Cowboys cut him, because they are going to cut him, unless they renegotiate his deal, but I don't believe they are, just like they didn't do Tyron Smith. But I don't think Zach Martin is Tyron Smith because Zach Martin hasn't been injury prone. He hasn't got hurt a lot. Tyron was hurt a lot. I mean, all kinds of nagging things were going on with Tyron, but not Zach. I think Zach is going to get his body together. I think he's going to play for somebody else. What's going on, Willie? The Queen says A.J. Brown got upset with Hurts. Reminds me of Lamb. Yeah, he wants those stats, but he needs to be. A.J. Brown needs to understand what team he's on. I'm sorry, bro. You're on a run team. They paid you. You're just going to have to be patient. You're going to have to wait until a team puts you in a situation to where you have to pass the ball. You're just going to have to be patient. The Eagles are a running team. There's no getting around it. Yeah, Hurts got weapons, man. He does. I mean, I wish Dak had those weapons. I wish Dak had those weapons, and I wouldn't care if we were winning 19-18 because we know that if he got those weapons, when he need them, he'll be able to use them. Daniel says, I went with the 27-24 Cowboys because I feel like this can go either way, and if we get into a shootout, we're going to lose. You know what? I've just tempered my expectations. I just don't think the Cowboys are what we think they are. I just don't think they are what we think they are. And I think they're going to have a hard time with the Bengals. And I think once the score gets Bengals 21, if it gets 21-13, and I think the Bengals are going to score. This is not going to be that 2022 affair. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think it's going to be this. I don't think it's going to be the same kind of game. Gabe said, I think it's that time of the year when the weather's cold. It's been a long season and teams don't care about style points, just winning. And the teams that can run the ball going to win the games. They are. Sometimes black quarterback catch more heat than other quarterbacks. The Lions seem to believe in golf. Better believe they do. That's what I like about them. They don't just believe in golf. They believe in the team. They believe in everybody on the team. It's one for all and all for one. The Lions don't rely on golf. It's the rest of the team that steps up. And that's what you want. I love how they run and manage that team. I do. The Lions, when they do reach the playoffs, they're going to get Aiden Hutchinson back from injury. If you put him opposite of Zadarius Smith, I'm telling you, the Lions defense is going to be scary. So they're saying that he might be back? Wow. Okay, I didn't know he was going to be able to come back. That'd be interesting. If Diggs does play tomorrow, G, it'll be the first time all year the Cowboys will have the three best cornerbacks on the field together. Is it? Diggs hasn't been good this season. Diggs is questionable for this game. And if I'm Diggs, I'm just honest with you. If I'm Diggs, I don't touch that field. If my groin is hurting, I'm not going to go out there trying to be embarrassed by Jamar Chase. I'm just not. Willie T says, I said we're going 5-12. I'm cool if we lose out. Man, if we lose out, I'm telling you, we're going to be up in that. But we're gonna probably crack that top 10. Plot twist. McCarthy isn't the problem. The Joneses are. Man, I tell you what. We're going to see. Because I tell you, Mike McCarthy really fell on that sword for Jerry Jones. Just versus Purdy and Garoppolo. Yeah. If the Cowboys miraculously some way make it into the playoffs and Cooper Rush leads his team to the Super Bowl, the Dak haters are going to have a massive field day and say Rush is better than Dak. Don't worry, Daniel M. Don't worry. That ain't happening. Don't you worry, that ain't happening. Dak was in the booth before training camp. Yep, people was talking about that. I think he was more injured than they let on. Yep. And I think he was not running on purpose. I don't know for sure, but it seemed like he was making a point not to run. Mike McCarthy thinks he has it made. Don't trust Jerry Jones. I'm telling you, you know what, Janie? All of this hoopla is predicated on 2 wins. What if he loses out? Does the rally cry continue? That's what I'm wondering. D-Law shouldn't because he knows Stephen Jones will screw him up. Oh, yeah, he done. He done. Can't tell you about how bad your injury is when you're trying to take all that cap money. If the Cowboys do hit the next draft class and hit the free agency next year, then I'll be convinced that we are back in the conversation. Oh, yeah, we will be. Because I'm telling you, Daniel, I believe the Cowboys are going to make a ferocious run in 2026. That's going to be the run year. They'll get back in the conversation next year, but 2026 is going to be the ferocious run. AJ, a one-trick pony over there. He need a real quarterback coordinator to really unlock him. I won't disagree with you, tired Cowboy, but he got to understand, man, what he signed up for. They're a run-first team. They are. They're a run-first team. There's no getting around it. The Cowboys could have won the Super Bowl in 2007 when Jerry went all out on that team and checked in the playoffs. An issue in the playoffs had a loaded team throughout the years, couldn't do nothing. Yeah, you talking about that the one where the Giants ran through? Wasn't that the year the Giants ran through and won the Super Bowl? Won the wild card? I mean, they just ran into a juggernaut, I think, in that. The Giants were better than a lot of people thought. We go 5-12 if we had Dak at quarterback. Well, we're going to go 5-12 with Cooper Rush quarterback if we're not careful. But then he said we need Antonio Brown. Boy, Dallas ain't ready for Antonio Brown, man. Boy, they ain't ready for Antonio Brown. They are not ready for that man. Daniel, Lamb, Higgins, Tolbert, Brooks, Turpin, and Flanoy for 2025 will be the best wide receiver. Ooh, man. Boy, Higgins. Higgins is a monster. He really is. Higgins is a monster. Boy, Daddy, you better stop, man. We ain't getting no Antonio Brown. That dude, man, Dallas ain't ready for him. He too crazy. Let's run down these other scores real quick, and then we'll move to some of the stuff with the Cowboys, with the playoff picture for the Cowboys, because I want to show you something that happened today that really kind of thwarted the Cowboys' playoff hopes. But Pittsburgh Steelers, business as usual, beat the Cleveland Browns 27-14. The Steelers are really still a good team. It is news that the Pittsburgh's defense can power with to victory, but after Russell threw for 400 plus and Cleveland racked up over 500 yards of offense and all in the same week, the focus has shifted away from the Steelers' strength entering Sunday. Pittsburgh's entire unit made sure that wouldn't be the case by the end of the game. Landon Roberts set the tone when he blew up Brown center Ethan Pocic on a stretch run to the left side of the offensive lineman flying backwards in a dropping message that the Steelers will not be beaten in the trenches. Defense and running games travel well in the playoffs. Alex Highsmith delivered on that memo, recording a sack and 3 tackles as part of a group that finished with 16 quarterback pressures and 3 sacks. Wow. Even Keanu Benton got involved and perfectly reading a screen sliding underneath Herbert Watson tossed for an interception that set up the Steelers' first touchdown, effectively breaking open the offensive dam. It was a classic showing in the Browns-Steelers rivalry, complete with fourth quarter interception made by Jace Pierre to seal another Pittsburgh triumph. Woo, man. Man. This is the point I like in number 3. The Pittsburghs win in a gritty fashion. This is the problem I have with our fan base. We don't like winning like this. Wilson and the Pittsburgh offense have dominated the narrative surrounding the Steelers of late, so it was interesting to see them encounter early struggles against the Cleveland defense they just faced a few weeks prior. This time around, there was no snow to equalize matters, yet Wilson and Steelers offense went 3 and out on 4 of their first 5 possessions. Wilson reached the break with a meager passing line of 8 for 16, 46 yards, but Pittsburgh's defense afforded this offense with shorter fields. The Steelers still held a 13-7 lead over Cleveland. When the offense started to figure it out, it was clear Pittsburgh would cruise to victory in this one. Wilson, hot third quarter, 6 for 8, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns, injected life into the Steelers offense, pushed them their lead out to 20, riding a balanced attack, which leaned more to Mike Williams in the absence of George Pickens to secure the rare, perfectly even split in time possession and double-digit win. I love these type of teams that can win like this. I absolutely do. I think we need to understand the main thing is winning. That's the main thing, is winning, and we need to win games. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown need to play for real. With a quarterback like that, they sick of Hurts. But you know what? I'm just being honest. I think A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith need to chill. You're winning. You're winning. Do not worry. They're going to break the glass on you when necessary. But right now, it is what it is. The Eagles are a running team. It is. They are. They're a running team. There's no getting around it. They're a running team. And Jalen Hurts, he does enough to win. That's it. He does enough to win. And I'm not talking about Cooper Rush does enough to win. No, Jalen Hurts does enough to win. I'm talking about running, throwing, and goal lines, 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s. You can depend on Jalen Hurts because he is a true dual threat quarterback. Daniel says, I feel like the Cowboys are going to win tomorrow. The diehard fan in me says that we should close the season out strong, playoffs or not, but the reality in me says that we need to evaluate. That's where I am. I just think this is more of an evaluation process. Wild Cowboy says CD, Ted McMillan, Jonathan Mingo, and Jalen Tolbert. Now we're cooking. You know what? I don't know about Tolbert. We're gonna see about him though. Miss Matrix said, "Hey G, can we talk about what happened to Dalvin Cook?" I know we're on WR, but I don't know what's going on, Miss Matrix, with Dalvin Cook. This is crazy to me. You cannot tell me this man is that bad. I would love to see Dalvin Cook. The Cowboys just basically put Dalvin Cook on the shelf and said they're done with him. I don't understand. He's still on the practice squad. I just don't know what's going on. I mean, they're dead silent on him. And you know what? I think a part of this is everything to do with this Ezekiel Elliott stuff and Jerry Jones bringing on Ezekiel Elliott. And so they have decided for whatever reason not to use Dalvin Cook. But I think they should use Dalvin Cook. I would already brought him up. Zeke would be inactive for me. I mean, you're not using him right anyway. You're not utilizing anything that you could do with Zeke, because I think he would be more dangerous in your passing game than your run game. They're not using him. So why not move up Dalvin Cook? I'm at a loss on that one, Miss Matrix. I don't understand what they did. This Dalvin Cook thing is crazy. Wild Boy said the Eagles are winning, but the winning mask up a lot of flaws. Well, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, I don't know about y'all, but if this was the Cowboys, I'd take it. I would take it. I mean, I wouldn't even be tripping on this. I would just take it. I wish we could be winning like the Eagles are winning right now. I would love it. I'd take it. So you got to get these wins, man. It's hard to win. Dagan said, we sack Burrow 4 to 5 times tomorrow. The Cowboys defense is going to have a field day. Watch this. They're going to sack him 4 or 5 times, and the Cincinnati Bengals are still going to have a field day. And the reason why I know this is, let me show you something that's going on with Mr. Burrow. This thing with Joe Burrow is absolutely crazy, man. It is. I'm trying to think, since he played, I can't remember who they played last. Let's see. Oh, Pittsburgh. Wasn't it the Pittsburgh Steelers? Yeah, I think that was their last game, right? Let's see here. What can we see? So let me show you why, Daniel, I'm saying what I'm saying. You said if we sack Burrow 4 to 5 times, the Cowboys defense is going to have a field day in that secondary, and we should see what those kids got also. Watch this. You want to know? You want to see why I know that's not true? Look at this. To your right is the Cincinnati Bengals. Look how many sacks they allowed. 4. They allowed 4 sacks. They lost the time of possession. They lost 2 fumbles. They lost an interception. You want to see what the score was again? That doesn't do you any good against this team. The Cowboys are going to sack Joe Burrow, I'm sure, 4 to 5 times, Daniel. You can book it. It doesn't stop Joe Burrow. That ain't enough to stop Joe Burrow. The Pittsburgh Steelers threw everything in the kitchen sink against Joe Burrow. They couldn't stop him. 14, 7, 3, 14. They couldn't stop him. He was unstoppable. 29 of 38, 414, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Burrow ain't caring about if they get an interception on him. Burrow not caring if they get 4 sacks on him. Burrow is not caring. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That's Russell Wilson. Let's go over. It's almost the same. 28 of 38, 309, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Burrow not caring, man. He not. Burrow is not caring. Burrow lighting folk up with 4 and 5 sacks, man. I'm telling us. I know we're saying that this defense is better and they're doing this and doing that. It don't matter. Burrow lighting folk up. 4, 5 sacks. I mean, Burrow lighting folk up, bro. 4 and 5 sacks up in this thing. Lighting them up with an interception. With an interception. It looks the same as the Pittsburgh Steelers look. With an interception. He's still lighting folk up. I'm telling us, man, I just don't think we're understanding what we're up against. Them jokers lost 2 fumbles, 1 interception, and lost the time of possession, threw up 38 points. That ain't enough. That's what I'm trying to tell us. That ain't enough. And Cooper Rush, I promise you, he is not Russell Wilson. Even with the decline of Russell Wilson, he's not Russell Wilson. He's not. Cooper Rush can't win this type of game. It ain't possible. Cooper Rush can't win this type of game. 44-38 ain't happening. It ain't happening. So sacking Joe Burrow, Daniel, I hear what you're saying, and I'm telling you, what you're saying is true. Who don't think they're going to sack him 4 or 5 times? I do. Because they're going to throw the ball. But that ain't stopping Burrow. That ain't stopping Burrow. Teams are beating them. They're having to outscore them. This is scary when you think about it. They're literally having to outscore them. Even with turnovers, even with sacks, even with winning time of possession. I'm telling us, man, Joe Burrow right now, Joe Burrow, I don't care what they're saying about Josh Allen. If Joe Burrow was winning, Joe Burrow would be the runaway MVP of the league right now. Right now. Joe Burrow would be the runaway MVP. So all these things, man, this is what I'm telling us. I don't doubt any of this stuff. The Cowboys going to sack him. Michael going to do 2 or 3 sacks ain't enough. Not for Joe Burrow. It's just not enough. Give Dalvin a 1-year deal. Let him coach up our drafts at running back. Okay. Okay. I wish the Cowboys had the Eagles running game. I wish the Cowboys had the Philadelphia Eagles running game. I wish they had Detroit's running game. I wish they had Kansas City's running game. I mean, and Dowdle, I've been talking about Dowdle the whole time. Dowdle is great. We need another back. We need another back. We need a change-up back. And Dowdle, that's why Miss Matrix brings up the point that I don't understand. We should have already brought up Dalvin Cook, and Dalvin Cook should be working. But y'all know why Dalvin Cook ain't working? I think I got an answer for us, Miss Matrix. I could be totally wrong. You know why they hadn't brought Dalvin Cook up? He's not a part of next year's plan. He's not a part of the plan. Daniel, this is what you were saying earlier, kind of corrected it. Yeah, I just showed you. What you're saying, other teams are doing it. They're just not stopping Joe Burrow. They're just not stopping him. Even with what we're talking about. I mean, you talk about, turning him over and sacking him. It's not enough. I mean, it's just not enough, man. I don't think people understand, and we're going to understand because we're going to see it in living color. Man, their offense is a juggernaut. It is. Their offense is a juggernaut. And I just think the only hope is to hold them below 20 points. And the problem is I just don't see how we do it because we're asking us to do something that other teams with better defenses and better personnel and better coaches have not been able to do. I mean, you look at this. Look at this. Them doggone Bengals. The Bengals scored what? 38 on the Steelers. 27 on the Chargers. 34 on the Ravens. 41 on the Raiders. 17 on the Eagles. Cleveland Browns, they got beat, of course. 17-7 Giants. They scored 34 on the Panthers. Another 38 on the Ravens. That was a ferocious comeback. They lost to the Commanders, but they scored 33. 26 on the Chiefs. I mean, the way they've been winning, the way they've been losing is insane. The way they're losing is insane. And for us, my problem is, you look at some of these games. Let's look at some of the player stats on this. Now, Joe Burrow in this one was 28 for 50, 356, and 3 touchdowns. So the issue is when you look at some of these quarterbacks that have beat the Bengals, now you got to ask yourself, so do we put Cooper Rush on the level of Jalen Hurts? No way, no how. Lamar Jackson? No. Justin Herbert? No. Russell Wilson? No. So when you look at these teams who shot it out with them, I can't remember. It might have been Bryce Young around this time. When you look at the teams that have had the shootouts with them, our quarterback is not as good as their quarterback. And I don't even think we have the wide receiving core to even attempt to do some of these things. So, but I'm pretty sure I know what the game plan is for the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys know everything I'm saying. And they already know they want no parts of a shootout. They want to keep the game like they did the first time. They want 20 points. Quiz guy says, I bet the Cowboys will win out and still miss the playoffs. If I was a betting man, I'd take that bet. They're not winning out. Cowboys are not winning out. Do you really think the Commanders are going to win out? I don't think they will chalk and kiss the playoffs because Dan Quinn knows how to chalk a game away. Falcons Super Bowl and with us. Oh, wait, I'm going to show you something, though. The Commanders is not the issue. I'm just hating because we don't have Saquon. Don't mind me. Oh, I'm with you, man. But Cooper Rush game tomorrow, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. We've seen him in these shootouts. It's the worst thing we can do. We don't need to have a big Cooper Rush game. We need to have a conservative Cooper Rush game. Dagan says that secondary better step up because the Bengals wide receiver is extremely good. Mark my words, Daniel. They're going after Trayvon Diggs. I would too. They're going after him. I'm going after Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs is not the best cornerback in this secondary. He's not. It's DeRon Bland, Jordan Lewis, and then Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs is coming off that injury. I think they rushed him back too quick, and that's why he's having leg issues. This is why he's having leg issues. And That's why if I'm Trayvon Diggs, if I'm 70%, I will not touch that field against Jamar Chase. I will not embarrass myself. I'm not going to embarrass myself. Nope. I'm not going to do it. Because I'm telling you, if Jamar Chase, if Trayvon Diggs is 70%, Jamar Chase going to eat his lunch. Not only is he going to hit him, not only is he going to catch deep on him, when he catch those crossing routes, he going to take him to the crib. He going to take him straight to the crib. There's nothing he can do with him. I would not play. I would not play, Daniel. I wouldn't play if I was Trayvon Diggs. I wouldn't do it. Paid ref number 2. I love that name. Bengals fan here. Don't worry. Burrow have 400 yards passing, Chase with 3 TDs, and Higgins with 2 TDs, and we will still lose. Hey, man, I don't think you are, bro, because I don't think we can score like that. The way we need to win this game is like 2022. We need to hold y'all to 17 points. And I don't know if it's possible for anybody to hold y'all to 17 points. Cowboys fans act like Ashton Jeanty is the end all the running backs. It's a few running backs in the draft that we can get. You know what? I just wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys don't get Jeanty. But there are so many good running backs, man. I mean, if you just go in the top 10, you can't lose. You can't lose in the top 10 in this draft on running backs. Our offense is going to keep Burrow on the sidelines. We have to score first and send a message to the Bengals that we're fighting for playoff position, fighting for roster spots. And, man, I'm telling you, Daniel, boy, I'm excited for this game. You better make sure you be on here after that game tomorrow, because we're going to see if you're right on this, because I'm telling you, I just don't think it's going to happen. Purple Soul, what's going on? She laughing at something I said. Quentin says you're right on back. Purple Soul said, I was just about to say Jamar's going to have a field day with Trey. Of course he is. Because I'm telling y'all, do y'all not realize the Houston Texans went after Trayvon Diggs? Went straight up after him. They went straight after him. Jamar Chase is... Boy, him and this dude, man, I'm telling you, boy, him and this boy Joe Burrow going to be out for blood, man. Let's go through a few more of these. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they beat the Las Vegas Raiders. No surprise there. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we're going to look at this in just a moment. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a problem for the Cowboys. We have lost so many games to teams that we shouldn't have lost to, that these other teams have beat, that even if we win out, we're going to probably lose some of these tiebreakers. The Jaguars, 10-6. I can't believe they beat the Tennessee Titans. But the Jaguars don't actually need a quarterback. But I'm shocked they beat the Tennessee Titans. This game right here was a problem for the Cowboys. The Seattle Seahawks beating the Arizona Cardinals. Danny Cowboy, he said that he thinks the Seahawks helped us. No, the Seahawks actually are hurting us by winning. And I'm going to show us that in a moment when we look at the playoff picture again. This game right here, another team that hurt us bad. The Rams beating the Buffalo Bills. That's a problem for the Cowboys. That's a serious problem for the Cowboys, because even they will own tiebreakers over the Dallas Cowboys. Because I don't think there's no way the Cowboys went out. The 49ers, they beat the Bears. They're 6-7. They own the tiebreaker over the Cowboys. I am not counting the San Francisco 49ers out of this thing from this perspective. Hold on a second. Let's see. So the San Francisco 49ers. Let's look at their remaining schedule. Well, San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers and the Rams, this is going to be a very pivotal game, because if the 49ers wind up beating the Rams, that's going to put the 49ers back in the hunt, and I mean seriously in the hunt. But if the Rams win, that means that we are going to be in some serious trouble, which I can't believe I'm saying this. We're not going anyway, but just hypothetically saying, the 49ers, they probably will beat the Dolphins. The Lions better watch out on this 49ers game. It's going to be a tough one. Kyle's going to pull out all the stops. And then, of course, we got the 49ers against the Cardinals. So when you look at their last 4 games, the 49ers, I could easily see a split. I could easily see some type of split. It wouldn't surprise me if they won 3. I would be shocked if they lost more than 2 of these games. But it wouldn't surprise me if they upset the Lions in San Francisco. And I wouldn't be surprised if they wound up at a 3-1. Wound up with 3 runs. 3 wins towards the end. And the 49ers wind up with the 10 wins. And even if the Cowboys went out because of the tiebreakers, that would push the Cowboys out. See, this is one of the problems when you start doing some of this stuff the Cowboys have done when you've lost to some of these teams like the doggone Falcons and the 49ers, and the Saints. You lost to those teams. And so now so many of these other teams, they beat those teams. Since they beat those teams, even if you win out, it becomes a problem for you. So I want to look at the playoff picture as it pertains to the NFC and show you how these teams who won, they really hurt the Cowboys in a sense. And, man, I'm telling you, boy, when you look at this NFC playoff picture, boy, it is very interesting. I just hate the Cowboys are not in this. I do. It would just be a great year. I think this is one of these years that the Cowboys could be right here. I do. I think that last year Cowboys team, even with its deficiencies, I think it could beat that. I think it could beat the Eagles team of this year. I wish Jerry would have ran that team back, and I wish he would have got them another running back, another wide receiver, maybe a linebacker or 2. Man. Wow, boy. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Tober did get a touchdown or 2. I wouldn't. The Cowboys have activated what's the guy? Monte Day, 21-day window, and that secondary get much needed. Man, but man, I was kind of out on him when he was playing. I didn't like him that much. Jalen Tolbert getting 2 I wouldn't be surprised. Don't worry, Jay, I'll be back tomorrow night. I'm going to sit everywhere on the sweet teas and we win. Everyone's going to be a drug on sweet teas for weeks. Run the ball and keep Joe Burrow. There it is, Kevin. That's my thoughts, too. Run the ball, keep Joe Burrow on the sideline is the only way Cowboys have a chance. I think so, too. I think they have to win it like they did in 2022. 2017, 23-20. Some low-scoring game. You got to find a way to win the time of possession, not by 2 or 3 minutes. By 7-8 minutes. The Bengals will destroy the bill of the Cowboys defense. Wilson Santiago, what's going on? Daniel says, if we win tomorrow, what will you say? I'll tell you what I'm going to say. I'm going to be shocked. Miss Matrix, good and nervous of tomorrow night. No idea why, as we pretty much wrapped this season up weeks ago. Man, I'm telling you, this game has got me so excited because the anticipation. Anticipation, man. People really think that we on this playoff run. So I'm excited to see what happens. Antoine, what's going on? Antoine said we're going to beat them Bengals. Man, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see it tomorrow. This is one of the first games in a long time I've been excited for. CD's still a top wide receiver with bad quarterback play. You know what? But he beat up, man. He beat up. Daniel said, my family are diehard fans and we want to finish the season strong. Playoffs or not. Yes, sir. And so the problem is when we look at this playoff picture, see, first, the problem was the NFC North. And it's still the NFC North because the NFC North, not only do they have to take up one of the top 4 spots, but the NFC North is so good, they're taking up 2 of the 3 wild card spots. 2 of the 3 wild card spots. And the Commanders, they are at the 7th seed. But the problem for the Commanders, they're still not out of the woodworks. Because to me, for the Commanders, What they need to be racing for is 11 wins. If the Washington Commanders can solidify 11 wins, then nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. Because if they amass 11 wins, none of those other teams can amass 11 wins. And so they automatically will get that 7th seed no matter what happens. Let's look at their remaining schedule here for the season. I looked at this already. I'm going to compile this up over the next couple of weeks so we can kind of keep a track on this. But the problem is, let's see. So watch this. See, the NFL, the way they did this, the parity is perfect. Because when you look at this, so I think the Commanders will beat the Saints. I think the Commanders will beat the Saints. But I think the Eagles will beat the Commanders. I think the Eagles will beat the Commanders. And I think the Commanders will beat the Falcons. And so the Commanders will reach 10 wins by week, what is that? I'm thinking week 17. The Commanders will reach 10 wins in the 17th week in my estimation. I think they for sure beat the Saints and the Falcons. And they better not mess up and go on a 3-game win streak and beat the Saints, the Eagles, and the Falcons, because then the Cowboys become a bye week, and there's nothing the Cowboys nor any of the teams below them can do because the Commanders will have hit the magic number of 11. But I do think before the Commanders meet the Dallas Cowboys, the Commanders will already have amassed 10 wins. And if the Commanders amass 10 wins, and if the Cowboys just slip up one time, then that game don't even matter. And the Commanders will be content to win the wild card, I'm sure, but it all depends. Even if the Cowboys are out, so what we could watch is maybe the Cowboys will play spoilers for the Commanders, because maybe the Commanders is tied with the 49ers. Maybe they're tied with one of those other teams like the Rams, who also have got the 10 wins, depending upon how the tiebreaker went. And so if the Commanders and the Cowboys at the end, maybe that game won't be about the Cowboys going to the playoffs. Maybe that game will be more about the Commanders going to the playoffs. But the Commanders are going to get to 10. See, they're not like the Cowboys. The Cowboys got to win out. The Commanders don't. All the Commanders have to do is win 2 of the last 4, and you can book it. They're going to win 2 of the last 4. They're going to beat the Commanders, and they're going to beat the Saints and the Falcons. You can book that. You can absolutely book that. And so, but when you start looking at this playoff picture, so now the NFC, the NFC West is becoming a serious problem. And the reason why the NFC West is becoming a serious problem when you look at this is the Seahawks are 8-5. So you're looking at teams that can again get to the magic number of 10. And what those teams like the Seahawks in the NFC West and what the Rams, if they wind up getting 10 wins in the NFC West, they're going to automatically knock the Cowboys out, because the Cowboys can't win any tiebreakers. They can't. If something happens to where the Seahawks flip down, they can't win any of the tiebreakers. The Cowboys losing to the Saints was detrimental. Losing to the 49ers was detrimental. Losing to the Falcons was detrimental. And so this right here is an uphill battle for the Cowboys. It's an uphill battle that someone posted even in the chat. See, the Cowboys could win out and not go because they're going to lose tiebreakers. And I'm telling you, I mean, the Commanders, it could come down to them in the Commanders. I don't think it is, though. I think the Commanders will hit that number 10, and then they will be in the proverbial catbird seat. All they'll have to wait on is for any of those teams to falter, and they're going to wrap up that number 7 seed. They'll wrap that seed up. But, boy, I'm telling you this. it is going to be it is definitely going to be tough treading. It's going to be tough treading for the Cowboys. And so for me, I think where Daniel M, I think you're probably on to something. I think what we might need to be more concerned with is the Cowboys maybe finishing strong, finishing their evaluation of their players, and not be so, I'm not saying not be so concerned with, but even Jerry Jones, in all his craziness, even Jerry Jones called the chances of the Dallas Cowboys going to the playoffs outlandish. Even Jerry called it outlandish. And Jerry even said himself, he said that if the Cowboys were even to win out, he said he still wouldn't call it a successful season. So Jay Army says, I don't believe the Commanders win a game. The Saints are playing tough and hard. Falcons are good, got a running game, and the Eagles are juggernaut. And Jaden Daniels is starting to fall back to reality. I think they'll get 2, though. No doubt. I think they'll get 2. And the problem is, if they don't get 2, the pressure is still on the Cowboys. So if the Commanders don't get 2, and the Rams mess around, and get to 9 wins, they're going to get that seed. The Cowboys, man, I'm telling you, they're in an uphill battle. They are. They are in an uphill battle. And I'm telling you, boy, them Rams today, woo, look pretty good. But I do think what could help the Cowboys is because of these divisional games once again, and because some of these teams' divisions might be just a tinge tougher. So you think about it. So the Rams have 7 wins. Let's look at the Rams. The Rams have 7 wins. 49ers, going to be a tough out for them. I think they'll beat the Jets. The Cardinals, they'll beat the Cardinals. The Seahawks, going to be a very tough out for them. So you already see where the Rams, I think for sure they win 2 more games. So that in itself would get them to 9-8. So the question is, and the Rams seem to always have the 49ers number. The question is, can the Rams win 3 of the last 4? Can they win 3 of the last 4? Because if they win 3 of their last 4, they might knock out the Commanders. So this playoff race, man, when it gets down to this point, man, this is the good stuff. This is the stuff that gets you excited about watching football because there's so many moving parts now. And that's why for the Cowboys, man, there's so many things got to happen for the Cowboys. I mean, literally, there got to be a blood moon and a werewolf howling at it for the Cowboys to make the playoffs. Antoine says the Commanders ain't going to the playoffs until they change their name back to the Washington Redskins. Hey, did you see Antoine? They have voted to allow them to have the name the Washington Redskins again. The actual Indian tribe fought for it. And they've already negotiated and talked about it. And they want that name. They want that name of the Washington Redskins. So it's a go now. The only holdup would be the NFL. So the Washington Commanders could be the Washington Redskins again. I wish they would. All this stuff about taking folks off of names and boxes is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Purple said Jaden is still legit. Yeah, you know what? I will agree with you on this, Purple. So when Jaden Daniels got hurt, that's when we saw that performance start to slip. And the problem becomes, if I'm not mistaken, he hurt those ribs. And when you have those rib injuries, the problem is with the ribs, you can't put a cast on them. You have to let those things heal naturally. And what happens a lot of times, because they keep playing you with those ribs, you typically don't get over that until the season is over with. So I think that may be what we're watching with Jaden Daniels. I think that may be what we're watching with Jaden Daniels. Jane said, got to go, G. I will be on after the game. Woo, yes, boys, go. Hey, have a good night. We'll be back on tomorrow. We will do a pregame, and then we're gonna do after the game. We're gonna do after the game. It's gonna be on and popping tomorrow. Dave said I won't give up on the Cowboys. He's as much as I dislike what he's doing, but I want to see what he does in 2025. I bet you that Mingo gets traded again in the next offseason. Wow, boy, that'd be crazy if he does. So basically, G wasted all that precious breath just saying nobody coming to see Cowboys in the playoffs. It ain't happening, Miss Matrix. And that's why I think we just need to be in evaluation mode. Just seeing what we got, seeing what these guys look like, and just keep watching them and just keep cheering them on. That's all we can do. Lost in Translation Podcast, what's going on? Joey always says that what would help the Cowboys would have to happen to get them there in this weird situation? A lot. A lot, man. A lot, because, you know, you think about it, J. Army, when you see stuff like this happens, it is hard to go and win all these games the Cowboys have to win. I mean, they got to run through the Bengals, the Panthers, the Bucks, the Eagles, the Commanders. Woo, boy, that's a hard gauntlet to run right there. That is a hard gauntlet to run. Purple Soul said, I'm an Alabama fan, but I think they were solid enough this season. Oh, you talking about college football? Man, them college football playoffs, ooh, man. I don't watch it, but I know a lot of people on an uproar that SMU look like SMU got knocked out. Mingo to me hasn't done much, and that was a waste of trade. We should have got Adam Thielen instead. I think what they're going to do is I think they want to see Jonathan Mingo with Dak Prescott, because they know what Cooper Rush is. I mean, Cooper Rush just not going to be able to get him the ball the way that he needs to get it. So I think they're going to wait and see what he looks like with Dak, but I hope Rico Dowdle and Jonathan Mingo doesn't stop the Cowboys from going in that draft and getting a wide receiver and getting a running back. They need to. I want to, for a moment, I want to look at this story with Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is really trying to push this team towards this whole playoff idea. And he is really, really talking a lot about the playoffs, which I don't really like a lot of that talk. I'm not going to necessarily hate on him. I mean, you know, Freddie says, you know, Freddie said a couple of streams ago, he said, what do you expect him to say? We're going to lose? And I don't expect him to say we're going to lose. But what I would rather Michael be talking about is the Bengals. Nothing more, nothing less. Let me see if we can pull it up here. I would really like him to be talking about nothing more than this. Nothing more than the Bengals. Let me see if I can cue him up. Yeah, he's I don't know if you've seen this video. Michael Parsons says Cowboys playoff run is realistic and talks Mike McCarthy's future. And I'm going to let that transition us into a couple of different subjects. Let's see. Let's see. All right, so let's look at a couple of these about Micah Parsons and some of the stuff he had to say. This is Micah Parsons, and I want you to hear a couple of things that he had to say, in particular about Mike McCarthy and the Super Bowl run. I guess we can call it a Super Bowl run, but let's check out what Micah is saying here.
You know the ups and downs of playing for this team, and what you say can be interpreted in different ways. A couple weeks ago, when you were talking about Zach Martin and you mentioned Mike McCarthy, Dak came out this week and said he wants Mike to return. What are your thoughts on Coach McCarthy, and do you want to see him back in 2025?
I think I would like a fair shot with, everyone back, players, coaches, because, the injuries kind of struck of what the season could really be. The injuries have been terrible. And, it really sucks. Seeing Zach, D-Law not having a year I know he planned to have, and he had such a great start. It really sucks. But, in terms of coaching, man, Coach Mike, man, his relationship has always been really good. He always took real good care of me. I just don't know how the business side of it's going to go. Jerry has his own mindset about, who he wants to coach. This is his team. I'm kind of just like a pawn in this business. I might be a rook at this point. I might be a rook, but, I can only go straight. Literally, I can only go straight. That's why I'm going to say I'm a rook. But, there's some other, queens and knights that's doing a lot more moves than I can.
Well, you might have a chance to become a king in the
That is a far cry from what I expected based on some things that people have been saying. Based on some things I've been hearing, it sounds like to me that Micah Parsons may have backtracked on this Mike McCarthy thing. Very interesting. Because he says he would like to see it all ran back. I mean, I guess he's talking about the coaches, but he's also making sure. Now, see, Dak, I wonder if Dak did something that he regrets. Because Dak tried to go all in on Mike McCarthy, and then Mike McCarthy turns around and run the bus over Dak Prescott and says, I don't know what Dak's talking about. So notice that Micah Parsons, he doesn't do what Dak did. Micah Parsons said, it's not for me to say. I mean, that's basically what he's saying. It's not for me to say. I mean, I would like to run it all back. But at the same time, and maybe he said some other things in the interview, I hadn't listened to all of it. But at the same time, I mean, this is them asking him about Mike McCarthy. He's saying he doesn't know what Jerry plans to do. He doesn't know what Jerry plans to do. And I wonder if Dak Prescott now wishes he had kept his mouth shut about Mike McCarthy. Oh, I'm not defending a grown man. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it if a man can defend himself. And if I defend someone and they turn around and they basically say they don't need my help or whatever the case may be, I'm sorry. I just can't. Michael is, I got to give it to him in this case. He's smart. Don't stick your neck out like Dak Prescott did. I don't know what Jerry's plans are. I don't. And I like what he said. Miss Matrix, you cannot evaluate Jonathan Mingo under Cooper Rush. 100% you cannot. I think the Panthers will actually put some pieces around Bryce next season, and they will be in on the rise. They will. I think he's playing better. Shout out to you, bro. This is the best Cowboys channel in my opinion. Appreciate you, Antoine. Appreciate you, my brother. Purple Soul says, let me get my mind right for Micah Child. Hey, Purple Soul. Mike didn't say nothing outlandish yet, but hey, we still got the next question. He had other questions in there too, but I'm just gonna do the Super Bowl question because that's the one that got my spider senses tingling. Micah trying to force the idea they can do without Dak. Woo, man, Purple Soul. I hate to say this. It seems like to me Micah Parsons is trying to battle Dak Prescott for the leader of this team. I noticed that Dak said when he was talking about Mike McCarthy, he said as the leader of this team. And it's like Micah Parsons is trying to be the leader. He wants to be the leader of this team, y'all. Let's see. As a matter of fact, let me see here. You bring up an excellent point, and then I'll come back to you, Jay Army. I want you to listen, and someone got a super chat. I'll get that next, and then I'll get to the Jay Army. Listen to this. They asked him, Purple, about what kind of leader is he trying to be.
So, Sauce, tell us, where'd you get the nickname Sauce?
One of these days, I'm going to get YouTube Premium and knock these ads off, but we ain't at that point yet. Let's see here. Let's let this ad play. But Purple Soul, you making a point. All right, hold up. You're making a point.
Accountability to myself.
You talked to us before in the offseason about reaching out to a number of guys, Tom Brady, Richard Sherman.
It's easy to point the finger and blame everybody, but it's challenging. And it's easy to point the finger and blame everybody, but, I just took accountability to myself.
You talked to us before in the offseason about reaching out to a number of guys, Tom Brady, Richard Sherman, about leadership. What have you learned from them, and what type of leader are you trying to be?
Man, I'm trying to be the leader that, just plays so hard and demands respect from his teammates. You demand that you play with the same amount of effort and detail and attention, with every guy, So almost if there was like 11 of me out there, it would be like, no doubt about it. So, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just demanding perfection from everyone.
Is that within your personality? Do you think you have, or have you had to learn that?
I think a little bit of both. I think I've always been a natural born leader. Like I've always drew the attention of a leader and created and got the eyes from others. But it's something that I had to learn. I think learning it, you have to learn to be a leader. There are just natural, regular leaders out there in the world, but I think a lot of us still have to learn.
You told us before that Coach Zimmer has really challenged you.
This is odd to me. Dak Prescott is the leader on this team. But it definitely seems like to me, I've been noticing it's like Micah is trying his best to take the leadership role of the team. And I'm telling us this, it's the worst thing that could happen for this team. Micah is not, I like when he says he wants to be a leader that is a leader by example. Well, my problem with a leader by example as far as what you're doing on the field. But my question becomes, leaders on football teams, you have really got to be outperforming people on the team on such a level that he's saying that's how he wants them to look at him. But the reality is, and I'm telling us whether we accept this or not, I made a video about it just a couple of weeks ago. Micah Parsons is not the leader on this team on the defense. He's not the leader on the defense. Dak is the leader of the team. Micah is not the leader on the defense. It's DeMarion Overshown. DeMarion Overshown is the leader on this defense. He is. Alex, appreciate the super chat. Keep up the good work, DC4L. Appreciate you, Alex. Appreciate you, my brother. I'm telling you, Michael, to me, he's not the leader on this defense. It's DeMarion Overshown. The intensity, the energy, the play-by-play, the impact that DeMarion Overshown is having on this game, it's crazy. And it's only going to get better and better. DeMarion Overshown, once he gets past this season, Michael can forget it. Overshown going to take off like a rocket if he stay healthy. It's over. If the Cowboys can get another linebacker, and if they can get another DN opposite of Micah Parsons, this defense ready. They're going to have to get another cornerback too. I'm worried about Trayvon Diggs. They're going to have to get another cornerback, but Demarion Overshown is man, you want to talk about a leader by example? Stu is nasty, man, and he's humble. He's humble. He's got a great work ethic, all these different things. And I think Dak has been inadvertently, sneakily battling some of these guys like the Trayvon Diggs on this team, because some of the things that Dak was saying early in the season about guys not being in the film room, not knowing where they are supposed to be, and all these different things. I'm really interested to see what does the dynamic of this team look like when they come back next year, because how adamant I heard Dak Prescott being, I was expecting to hear Micah be as adamant. I didn't hear that in Micah. I heard from Micah actually what I heard a couple of weeks ago when they interviewed him in the locker room, when he said that Mike could go anywhere he can go anytime he want to. The guys who I'm feeling sorry for is guys like Zach. That seemed like the same Mike right there. It does. It seemed like the same Mike to me. I mean, I hear him say he want to run it back, but my question is, run it back how? Do you want to run it back with everybody healthy? Dak Prescott, do you want to run it back like that? I mean, I would really like to know some detail on that. Jay Army says, I will call that a great way to end if we go out on a high note and have tons of momentum going into the next, and Jerry might want to go all out in the offseason. Yeah, I think it might be, I would agree with you, Jay Army. That might be one of the things that compels, but I still say, I do think Jerry's going to do something that's uncharacteristic this offseason. I think he's going to make a couple of moves that's going to shock people. I do. Daniel says, plus Tank is coming back next week. Daniel. Tank is already let it be known. He will not be back against Carolina. he straight up said it. Tank said he will not be back against them Bengals, and he will not be back against the Panthers. Book it. D-Law ain't trying to come back, y'all. D-Law ain't trying to come back. He's not. Because D-Law is, in a sense, I think D-Law is tired of this team. I think Zach Martin is tired of this team, y'all. And I think both of them have made the decision to go ahead, get their bodies right, and get ready to go to another team. I'm sorry. I know we don't want to imagine it. But I could literally see Zach Martin with the Bengals because they need an offensive lineman. And if they just put one or two more with him, man, boy, I'm telling you, the league don't want to see Joe Burrow with an offensive line. He'll be back in the bowl game. Purpose, you think they all trying to get on the same page, G? I don't think so. I'm really wondering because Michael, to me, I just wonder about them and Dak Prescott because I want us to think about something. The reality is Dak is an older guy on this team. Dak's 31. The old guys on this team, the Zach Martins, the D-Laws, they're about to be gone too. They're the older regime. And I'm going to tell you something about young guys. I know this just being around my own sons. I mean, they've all kind of hit 20 and 22, 20, 21, and 24. And they always got this language. I had to stop them. I told them, don't use this stuff around me. You don't disrespect your others around me. I don't want to hear all this old head talk. These young groups don't respect older men anymore. They love it when they can have a team full of young dudes. Because to them, they all think alike. They all on the same wavelength. They all do the same things. They look at things the same. And in their minds, Dak kind of represents the old regime. They ain't worried about Cooper Rush. They know Cooper Rush not going to be the starting quarterback. If anything, what they're looking more toward is sooner than later, Dak's not going to be the quarterback here anymore. I got 3 seasons on Dak. 3 seasons unless Dak is balling out. 3 seasons. Danny says, can you can you put it in the simplest form for me to understand about the playoffs for our Cowboys, please? Put it in the simplest term to understand. Well, if I put it in the simplest form, I say there's no chance. I just say there's no chance. There's just too many moving parts. There's too many things have to happen. We did the playoff maker the other day, and I mean the things that have to happen. I mean basically everyone has to collapse. Everyone has to collapse, and the Cowboys have to win out. That's the way. That's the simplest way. Everyone collapses, and the Cowboys win out. I just don't think it's going to happen. Daniel says, I want Michael to be a leader on this team, but I also want him to realize he needs to put his hand down in the dirt and win in the trenches. I just want him to stop the podcast. There it is. He loves the media way too much. And that's another reason why I don't want him to be the leader. I want him to be a leader. I'm with you on a leader. I don't want him to be the leader. We don't want a whole bunch of Micah Parsons walking around defending the fact that you're doing a podcast, being a distraction during the season, saying things you shouldn't be saying. Always got a crazy take on things. I don't want a leader like that on the team. But I do want Michael to be a leader on the defense. A leader. But Demarion Overshown's the leader. It'll only be a matter of time within the next 2 to 3 seasons. He's going to be the leader on the defense. Michael wants to be the face and the voice of the franchise. That's it, exactly. And I guarantee you, Dak gonna have something to say about that. And that's why I was shocked, but I know what Dak is doing. This is one of the reasons why why did he start speaking out all of a sudden? And I noticed what he said in one of the answers he gave about Mike McCarthy. He said, as the leader of this team. Dak is claiming territory like a dog, y'all. He is. If Jerry Jones can give me Abdul Carter, oh, man, yes. Hampton in round 2 and a wide receiver in round 3 for the draft next year, then he has my respect, G, but I have to see it to believe it. Woo, man. Boy, you want to talk about a draft and a half, boy. Man, he mess around and do that in any order. Boy, this fan base will erupt. It will. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback, but he's not a leader. He's a pleaser. And you know what, Antoine? I don't know if you wanted it the other day, but I made this comment. Cam Newton has said this more than once. Cam Newton said that Jerry Jones has too tight of a leash on Dak Prescott. And Cam Newton said that basically, and I'm paraphrasing, but Dak, it is time for Dak to let the dog out of him. Cam said it's time for him to get off the leash. You already paid, bro. What they gonna do to you? What they gonna do to you? They gonna cut you? I wish they would. I don't wish they would, but I'm saying if they cut Dak, they're talking about $200 million. 170 minimum. He gonna eat that cap up for 3 seasons, and there'll be nothing they can do. And they'll have to do so much crazy stuff with the cap, it'll be insane. And so Dak is in a situation now where he can start talking. He really is. Dak is in what they gonna do? Cut him? They cut Dak. Dak walk away with almost $200 million. He get to do exactly what Russell Wilson did. Now he can go to the team that he want to go to. He could play for him for $1 million because the Cowboys will still be paying him. He could literally go to a contender and say, hey, man, I'll take this team. I'll take it to the Super Bowl. Y'all got players, put players around me. Y'all can do it with a minimum spend. I'm telling you. But Cam has said that, and Jerry has put a leash, and Jerry did the same thing to Tony Romo in a sense. See, Troy Aikman wasn't under the auspice of Jerry Jones. Troy Aikman was under the auspice of Jimmy Johnson. There's a difference. And Troy Aikman took on some of the characteristics of his coach. And that's why Troy Aikman now, I tell you, I've said some things about Troy, but one thing about Troy, man, Troy get in your face. Troy get in your face, man. Didn't care who you were. Purple Soul says, natural born leader who was hazing them youngins at Penn State that almost affected his draft stock, though, right? Woo! Yeah, he different. Micah talks like Tyson. You don't know what he's saying. If you don't know what he's saying, boy, you said something there. Gabe said, just like a politician on election year, Micah's trying to work on his acting skills just to get the bag, pure and simple. Boy, y'all speaking facts, man. Danny said, I want Micah to understand that he is an elite pass rusher, an elite linebacker, but he has to understand that a leader has to lead onto the field and lead by example. Speaking facts. True. Hey, G, what is the master's degree that Micah has in, sir? Master's degree. Okay. What, has he got one in psychology or something? Let me see. What he got one in? Michael Parsons got a master's degree in, what does he got one in? Communications? Let me see. Says he doesn't have a master's degree. Says, but he did graduate with a bachelor's degree in criminology. I guess you'll hit me with that in a moment. Yeah, like I said, Danny, everybody's got to collapse. And what we'll do tomorrow, we'll go back through the play. What we'll do tomorrow, Danny, we'll go back through the playoff maker, the playoff machine again. Willie T says, yes, Demo is a leader. Michael nowhere near being a leader. And the reason why Demo is a leader is his work ethic. It's how he's working. Michael, be careful because you are over battling your quarterback. Yep, Quentin, I'm telling you. I think that's exactly what he is doing. Micah is all about Micah. And see, he's a lot like Jerry. He is. He's a lot like Jerry. Willie T says, we win out. Jerry will not do anything. I said the same thing, Willie T. I've said it before. Jerry cannot be successful in what he's doing. Because if he is, he'll do nothing. But we do want him to see the potential. We want to see the team work hard. But, boy, we mess around and win out, Jerry won't do nothing. Willie T, I can see Zach and D-Log with the Bengals. Yep. But I'm telling y'all, Zach ain't retiring. Zach is not retiring. I don't care what anyone says. Zach ain't retiring. Zach is going to have an opportunity next year to do exactly what I would do if I was him. I'm 34 years old. I'm a Hall of Fame guard. Why not go to a contender? Why not go to a Kansas City, a Buffalo, a Pittsburgh? And I'll be honest with you, I'd love to play with Joe Burrow. Why not go to a team like that? Because Cowboys aren't bringing him back. I can tell you up front. Cowboys aren't bringing him back. They're trying to get young. Nate Newton has been super critical of Michael. Yep, CD and Trey. He's called them by name on the podcast and insinuated some BTS stuff that caused him to lose respect for them. Yep. He's been tearing them up. Been tearing them up. Yeah, Nate said Dak has an old school spirit. See, I said the same thing. He doesn't fit the mold of this team, that he could have played with them. He said most of them guys, no. He said they new school. See, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. And I said a couple of weeks ago, I said Dak is the one player that don't fit this team. He doesn't fit the characteristic of the owner. He doesn't. Dak loves the Dallas Cowboys. But I do think that Dak may be in and I'm not going to say a no-win situation. I'm not going to say he's ice skating uphill, but he might be ice skating on a little bit of a slope. Yep. I've been saying it, Purple Soul, he don't fit the team. And Cam Newton is actually saying something about Dak. He does have a dog in him. I said that on my last live stream. Problem is, we ain't got no dog trainers on this team. Man, Jimmy was a dog himself. Jimmy was a dog trainer. Jimmy knew how to bring the dog out of his players. Mike McCarthy, I know people are saying they want him back, but I think this team needs a dog coach. I do. But I don't think Jerry can take a dog coach. That's the problem. Jerry know that if he get a dog coach, that dog gonna bite him too. Ben Johnson gave us every indicator. He's a flat-out dog. Ben Johnson, the dog, y'all. I released a video the other day talking about the message that Ben Johnson sent to Jerry Jones. He really sent it to all these teams, in particular the Panthers, the Bears, and the Cowboys. But the Cowboys, to me, are the most dysfunctional team in the NFL. So I think a huge part of that was to Jerry Jones basically saying, I'm not coming to a team like you. I'm not coming to a team like the Cowboys that don't let the coach be empowered, that is all up in the video, like Suge Knight said. He ain't coming to a team like that. Don't have the business right. He's not coming to a team like that. Yep, Dak is too corporate. He needs to call out something that's wrong. And we saw how all of a sudden here come Dak, but I think Dak need to get even more vocal. Cam Newton is saying what's right. Dak need to get even more vocal. I mean, for real, what you going to do to him? I mean, what can you do to him at this point? He said Dak got to start playing for himself. Dak got, if he want that chip, this is what he going to have to do. I agree. Let the dog out and get him some more O-line help. Yep. You know what? But I think we might be about to see a new Dak Prescott. He got his money now. He got his money now. But see, CB, you've been missing the discussions. No quarterback takes a team to the Super Bowl. Teams go to the Super Bowl, bro. If you don't know that, you don't know what you're watching. Quarterbacks don't take teams to the Super Bowl. Teams get to the Super Bowl. There's not, and Patrick Mahomes, if he ain't showing you, you ain't watching. Patrick Mahomes is not taking that team to the Super Bowl. Their team is taking that team to the Super Bowl if they go. They're getting so many great plays from people not named Patrick Mahomes. They're getting great plays from Pacheco. They're getting great plays from the wide receivers. They're getting great plays from the defensive players. I mean, did anyone see the defense today again for the Kansas City Chiefs? Absolutely ferocious. The mythology is that quarterbacks take teams to the Super Bowl. Troy Aikman didn't take the Cowboys to one Super Bowl. Not one. And I love Troy Aikman. He didn't take the Cowboys to one Super Bowl. The team went to the Super Bowl because of the line, because of the D-line, because of the running back, because of the fullback, because of the quarterback, because of the wide receivers, because of the tight end. Teams. It's just like the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff is not taking them to the Super Bowl. Their team is taking them to the Super Bowl. The coaches are coaching them to the Super Bowl. The general manager, he's putting the players around. He's giving the OC, the DC, he's giving them the players. The DC, unfortunately, is suffering through a lot of injuries. But what we don't understand, we have become a reflection of the owner. I'm saying we because we're Cowboy fans, but not me. I'll let you do that, CB. You and people like you and people like you. You are a reflection of the owner. Because you have the mentality that a quarterback takes you to the Super Bowl. Quarterbacks don't take you to the Super Bowl. Teams take you to the Super Bowl. That's how you win games. And the team that goes to the Super Bowl this year, it will be because of their team. It will be because of their team. It will not be because of their quarterback. Because I promise you this, and CB, you wrong again. How many generational quarterbacks have we truly had? I would count Roger Staubach as a generational quarterback. I don't count Troy Aikman as a generational quarterback. That don't mean Troy Aikman is not a great quarterback. He was not a generational quarterback. Troy Aikman was not generational. You can be great and not be generational. Don't throw that name around. Don't throw that term around. Generational means it's a quarterback that comes around every so often. Roger Staubach, people do not understand. He was actually the prototype of what we're watching now. It's why they called him Roger the Dodger. Roger Staubach was a dual threat quarterback. Go back and check the tape. I don't know how old you are, but I saw it. He was a dual threat quarterback. Troy Aikman was never a dual threat quarterback in his wildest dreams. He didn't have to be because the team around him was so great. He had a Hall of Fame team around him. And I'm tired of this fan base always going back to the 92 through 95 Cowboys when there was no salary cap and they had a Hall of Fame team around Troy Aikman. We need to stop it. It's dumb. It's dumb. And Troy Aikman, I'm sorry, he wasn't generational. He wasn't. I bet you there are some who really know what I'm talking about. Jim Kelly was actually a generational quarterback. He didn't have the team around him. The dude went to 4 straight Super Bowls. That is insanity when you think about it. You go to 4 straight Super Bowls and your kicker, Kelly didn't lose those Super Bowls. Your kicker. We don't understand this stuff. And this is what's wrong with this fan base. This fan base is so toxic in how it sees things. We just don't see things the right way. And when we start talking about generational, I'm sorry, I can name you generational quarterback after generational quarterback. They did not win the Super Bowl. Dan Fouts. And maybe not. He had some, I don't know, man. Air Coryell was crazy. But when you start talking about generational, you got to be real careful because you're talking about a quarterback that basically has a skill set that you don't see every day. Troy didn't have that. But if I start naming you generational quarterbacks, the problem is you'll notice a trend. They didn't win Super Bowls. Generational quarterback, Michael Vick. Michael Vick was generational. I know people think Lamar Jackson is Michael Vick 2.0. No. He's not Michael Vick 2.0. Michael Vick was so naturally gifted. It is insanity. Arm strength and could run the ball. His issue was he was so doggone gifted. He didn't study the playbook. I'm telling y'all, had Andy Reid got a hold of Michael Vick before he went to prison for the dog fighting, Michael Vick would have had at least 2 or 3 Super Bowls. Generational quarterback. For real, generational. Tom Brady is probably the anomaly. He kind of became generational, but Tom Brady wasn't generational because of his talent. Tom Brady was generational because of his mind. Tom Brady was cerebral. What Tom Brady lacked in scrambling and running and all of those things physically, his mind was, Tom Brady's mind went crazy after the 3rd Super Bowl, which they won by defense. But when I start talking about generational talent, bro, you don't understand what you're saying. A lot of these generational quarterbacks did not win Super Bowls. I'll say it again. Dan Marino was generational. Period. End of story. Generational. Never won a Super Bowl. Generational. Never won a Super Bowl. Generational people don't understand. We thought Trevor Lawrence was going to be generational. Nope. He's not. We thought Deshaun Watson, generational. Nope. He's not. Generational. Another one that didn't win the Super Bowl, Cam Newton. I don't know if there'll ever be another Cam Newton. Big, fast, strong, powerful. Cannon for an arm. Cam Newton, similar to Michael Vick to me a little bit before his time. Cam Newton in this day and time would absolutely dominate because the game has kind of transitioned more toward a quarterback like Cam Newton. And they probably would have put an offense in for him that would have been different. But you don't understand what you're saying because generational quarterbacks, they rarely win. Because I'm telling you, when you're talking about generational, you're talking about a unicorn. You're talking about a unicorn. You're not just talking about somebody who can throw the ball. You're not just talking about a guy who can lead a great team. You're talking about a person that is so talented, it's like when he steps on the field, everybody goes, There's nothing like him. I mean, there's literally nothing like him. And we got to keep watching. This is what I told people. And when you talk about generational, you don't get to determine that over 1 or 2 or 3 seasons. You got to really keep looking and see, what is this person? And when you look at those generational quarterbacks, they were kind of consistent for about 4 or 5 years, to where their talent was so good, it carried them, and it may have carried the team, but it could only carry the team so far. And most of those generational talents, the Dan Marinos, you're talking about the Cam Newtons, you're talking about the Michael Vicks, you're talking about others. I mean, it took, I would say that, man, it's hard for me to say Peyton Manning, but I could put Peyton Manning in that discussion. But it took Peyton Manning so long to win. They had to put players around him. They had to put players around him. Generational, man, I'm telling you, it is an anomaly. It's a unicorn. Generational. You take Emmitt Smith. I don't think Emmitt Smith was a generational running back. I thought he was a great running back that ran behind a great line. You know what a generational running back is? Barry Sanders. Generational. Problem is, he didn't win. He didn't win. Generational. Didn't win. I mean, you could have a discussion about generational players, and so many of them did not win. And they might have gotten to the big stage, but they didn't quite win it. Guys like Randy Moss. Generational. Now, we could talk about Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice was doggone generational, but he won championships. But he had a great team around him. Some would probably argue that Joe Montana was generational. Struggling with that. Great quarterback, though. Because Steve Young kind of took his place. I don't really consider Steve Young generational. Generational is a unicorn. And they don't come in the drafts easy. I got news for you. Shedeur Sanders is not generational. Shedeur Sanders is not generational. I'm telling you, generational players, they're unicorns, but they rarely win. They rarely win. Antoine Bass, I said it the other day. You saying the same thing I said. It's never about the best player. It's always about the best team. I bet you Dan Marino, if he could go back and do it again, how much you bet he'd rather be on the team that Troy Aikman had than on the Miami Dolphins? Dan Marino was the Miami Dolphins. But the Dallas Cowboys were not Troy Aikman. I know some people hate to hear that. The Dallas Cowboys were not Troy Aikman. They were not. The Dallas Cowboys were literally led by an offensive line. They were. They were. And I'll tell you this. You want to talk about generational? Let me show you what generational looks like as it applies to those 90s Cowboys. You know what? And let me say this. Some generational players, I guess we can find some of those unicorns that have won Super Bowls. Deion Sanders was generational. I mean, man, generational. He was. I would say, anyone disagree? Darrelle Revis? Generational. You just don't find Deion Sanders and Darrelle Revis that can literally shut down an entire side of the field for as long as they did. And when you talk about Deion, kick returns, little bit of wide receiver, punt returns, and lockdown cornerback, running, they say 4.2 40s. Let me look at something here. See, we start saying, this is why I say, man, we start saying like stupid stuff. I don't even think we be knowing what we're saying. I mean, we be saying stupid stuff. And this is why this team don't win, man. We be saying like stupid stuff. Was looking at See, Antoine Bass makes the same point I'm making. So you look at this Super Bowl roster that the Cowboys had in 93. And then we're going to go back to Micah. But when you look at this 93 roster, the reality is you could make the argument, and I'm making the argument, that while these are Hall of Fame players, they're not generational players. But this is one of the, and watch this. What you're looking at is not generational players. You're looking at a generational team. There's a difference. That's what me and you talking about, Antoine Bass. That's what me and you talking about. This is a generational team. You'll never, I bet you'll never see another team like this. This team was literally incredible. The team, individually, you could put these players on other teams and they would have had some success. I don't think they have the success that they had together. Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Daryl Johnson, Alvin Harper, Michael Irvin. You could put them in, you could put this team, not these individual players, not saying they couldn't play today because they could. But you could put this team in any era and they're winning. A lot of players can transcend eras, but not a lot of teams can transcend eras. This is one of those teams. This was a super team. People do not understand. This was a super team. A super team. It was downright loaded. It was downright loaded. Look at the look, just think about everyone on the Cowboys offense. Tell me this isn't insane, y'all. The entire 93 Cowboys team, the entire team was household names. Who didn't know Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Daryl Johnson, Alvin Harper, Michael Irvin? Who didn't know Jay Novacek? Who didn't know Mark Tuinei? Who didn't know Nate Newton? Who didn't know Stepnoski? Who didn't know Gogan? Who didn't know Eric Williams? Who didn't know that? Who didn't know that whole roster? The whole NFL did. It was a generational team. Look at the starters. Tony Tolbert, Casillas, Russell Maryland, Charles Haley. Their line was crazy. Look at the linebackers. Dixon Edwards, Ken Norton, Darren Smith. Look at the cornerbacks. Kevin Smith, Larry Brown, probably the weakest link. Darren Woodson, Thomas Everett, flat out baller. People do not understand the team. I'm telling y'all, they don't understand the team that that Troy Aikman played on. Troy Aikman was not generational. He's a great quarterback, but he played on a generational team. All the way from the coach down. The coaches down. All generational. There's a reason why a lot of those coaches for the Cowboys went on to coach other teams. They didn't win, including Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson didn't win when he left the Cowboys. I know no one talks about that, but he didn't win. Yeah, we're going to go even more in depth on this tomorrow, Danny, on the Cowboys playoffs. Like Tom Brady said, the problem is not developing these quarterbacks. It's only one team who's kept that practice, and they're the only ones consistently contending. Green Bay. Yep, I agree with Brady. Yep. See, the Detroit Lions is destroying CB's argument. They're destroying it because Jared Goff isn't generational. He's not generational. He's not. He's not generational. You know, it's strange. CB is making an argument what the Cowboys need. And this is why I say this Cowboys organization, a lot of the fan base has become delusional, just like the owner. And I don't know if the owner is necessarily delusional because he re-signed said quarterback because he must obviously believe what he said he can win with him. But I'm going to show you this is the problem with this fan base. Because when I hear someone like CB say, we need a generational quarterback, that is one of the most insane statements I think I've heard since I've been doing this. That has got to be one of the most ludicrous statements I have ever heard. So let's look at the NFC playoff picture again. Y'all tell me, because maybe I'm dumb. So is Jared Goff a generational quarterback? I'm going to tell you a liar if you say yes. Jalen Hurts, is he generational? I'm going to tell you a liar if you say yes. Seahawks quarterback, Geno Smith, he's number 3 in the playoffs. So you're telling me he's generational. You're telling me that the Bucs quarterback, you're telling me the Vikings quarterback, you're telling me the Packers. No, you don't need generational quarterbacks. What you need are teams. And I still say, as it applies to Patrick Mahomes, he's the best quarterback in the league, but let's pump the brakes. I just want to see a little bit more from Patrick Mahomes. Because when you're talking about generational, I mean, you're talking mythical unicorn almost. Because there are people who would tell you that Josh Allen is more talented than Patrick Mahomes. There are people who will tell you Lamar Jackson is more talented than Patrick Mahomes. There are people who will tell you those things. And there are stats here and there that could support it. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes, while he's on his way to a three-peat, we got to understand something too. He's had one of the best coaches. Literally, I think Andy Reid's the best coach in the league, hands down. Hands down. I don't think there's a coach better. And I think they've done a good job of putting players around him. But to say you need a generational quarterback, that is insane. I mean, I don't even know what that means. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say something like that. I mean, you need a generational quarterback? That is absolutely crazy. That is absolutely crazy because you start thinking about and going back to some of these teams that have won the Super Bowl who were not generational. So we got the last two was won by Patrick Mahomes. You got the Los Angeles Rams. They beat the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20. Anybody that say that Matthew Stafford is generational, no, I'm not going to give that to you. Tom Brady, we can make the argument. The man's been to 10 Super Bowls. He's the GOAT. He's generational. We got Patrick Mahomes. That's why I say I want to still see some more because when Tom Brady put up 10, man, that's crazy. I'm laughing. CB said, you need a generational quarterback, and Nick Foles beat Tom Brady, who is a generational quarterback. I'll destroy your argument every time with facts. Antoine Bass, you still on here? Or Antoine, I think it's Bass. I hope I'm pronouncing it right if it's Bass or Bass. But Bass, I think me and you are saying the same thing. You need a generational quarterback, but we got the Philadelphia Eagles in February 4th of 2018 in the 2017 season. They won with Nick Foles. Generational quarterback needed to win the Super Bowl. Hogwash. Total hogwash. And I'm telling you this. Tom Brady, this is why I say, I don't know. Tom Brady is cerebral. He's generational cerebral, but not talent-wise. But I'm sorry. The Super Bowl, I think Super Bowl 24, the man who was generational in that game was Cam Newton. But he wound up getting beat. He wound up getting beat by the Denver Broncos. Is that not the year that Peyton Manning, I'm thinking? Let's see. Wasn't Peyton Manning the quarterback? That's what I thought. And Peyton Manning by that time was being carried. He was not generational in his play. Read it and weep. The man was 13 of 23 for 141 yards. This has got to be one of the most outlandish statements I've heard. The Cowboys need a generational quarterback? No. They need to put players around the doggone quarterback like other teams do when they win Super Bowls. I'm disproving everything you're saying because there is only one quarterback. I'm not counting Patrick Mahomes yet. And I notice I said yet. I'm not counting him because when we talk about generational, Patrick Mahomes won't be the first quarterback to win 3 Super Bowls. Aikman did it. Bradshaw won 4. And Bradshaw wasn't generational. But Bradshaw had a generational team. Bradshaw had a generational team. And when you start looking at these, the Seattle Seahawks, I think that was the Russell Wilson year. Russell Wilson is not by far generational. You look at the Baltimore Ravens and San Francisco. If I'm not mistaken, is that the Joe Flacco year? Is that the Joe Flacco year? Let me see. Yeah, that's Joe Flacco. So you're going to tell me, CB, that Joe Flacco is generational. Man, I'll destroy your argument all day long. That has got to be, all due respect. Come on, man. You got to do better than that. Man, you got to do better than that. That's crazy talk. That is absolutely crazy talk. Crazy talk right there. Arch Manning is not as good as Bryce Young, though, but I think I get your point. Okay, y'all having a different discussion. Willie T. Troy quit running the ball at Oklahoma. And when he got to the Cowboys, it wasn't no use in running. Troy was a winner, but he definitely wasn't generational. Folk don't understand what generational is. Generational is mythical unicorn territory. And a lot of those mythical unicorns, I'm going down. I just keep going down and down and down this list, and you got to tell me where are the quote unquote generational quarterbacks that have been required to win the Super Bowl. Because the Baltimore Ravens, Joe Flacco, not generational. Eli Manning, not generational, but he beat a generational quarterback. Green Bay Packers, 31-25. I'm thinking, that's 2011? Is that A-Rod? That was Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, great quarterback. Some may argue generational. I wouldn't say generational, but if you want to make that argument, you can. Drew Brees, 2010, no, not generational. Big Ben, 2009, not generational. Eli Manning again, not generational. Indianapolis Colts, I think this is Peyton Manning's first one, not generational. 2006. I mean, I could go on and destroy this. Look at Ben Roethlisberger. Look at this. 9 for 21, 123. That's not generational. That's not generational. I wouldn't even say they had a generational squad. Now, you could go back on some of these that I've looked at and what some of these teams did have, like the Cowboys, for instance, in the 90s, and the Steelers in the 70s, and a little bit of, I think it was the 70s, and the Cowboys in the 70s, they had generational teams. Green Bay going all the way back to the 60s. I mean, you're talking about generational teams. San Francisco 49ers for a part of the 90s. Generational teams. It's teams that win the Super Bowl. And the one with Nick Foles, to me, is the one where it is the most evident. They built a team for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz went down. The team was so good. The coaching was so good. Nick Foles stepped in that thing and tore it up. Nick Foles didn't last 2 seasons in the NFL afterwards. This is why this fan base, I keep saying, man, we got about 25% of this fan base that's so toxic, man, it's insane. It's literally insane, man, some of the stuff we say. Yeah, it's literally insane. I'm going to go for a few more minutes here, man. You guys are staying up late, so I don't mind staying up late. I'm a real late out person. Miss Matrix says, stop expecting these guys to be great out the gate. Geez, Green Bay has had 3 quarterbacks in 30 years. Yep, for sure. Lost, yeah. Dan Marino was generational. Troy wasn't there, but oh boy, lost. You better stop. Warren Moon. I won't argue with you on Warren Moon. Generational. Randall Cunningham. You know what? Generational. Yeah, we could argue. I'll tell you this. Yeah, he was generational. I mean, the size, the arm. Yeah, I mean, no one has seen anything like Randall Cunningham. He was different. He really was. He was different. He was definitely different. Lost in translation. Yeah, he was different. He really was. Unicorn. But the problem is, and this is the problem with this team. See, Jerry Jones, he creates this atmosphere of saying dumb stuff like, well, we're only going to go as far as our quarterback is Dak Takers. That's stupid talk. That's stupid talk. You notice no one else is saying that? No one else is saying stupid stuff like that. And we become a reflection of our owner. And we start saying that same dumb stuff. Same dumb stuff. It's crazy talk. What quarterback nowadays remind you of Roger Staubach? You know what? J.O., I'm going to say something crazy. Patrick Mahomes is reminding me of Roger because of all the running quarterbacks in the league. Just watching Patrick Mahomes tonight, he runs the smartest. He runs the smartest. Patrick Mahomes can run, sometimes he can run horizontally to where he can get a crazy throw down the field. He's not as good as he used to be at it because he was crazy with it. But I think a part of that crazy with it was because he had some better wide receivers. But he can run horizontally. But then he can run vertically. But he can also get right at the stick and he can make a throw. Or he can fake a throw and he's just fast enough. He can beat you to the corner. Patrick kind of reminds me right now. Patrick to me would be the closest to a Roger the Dodger type quarterback. But even he was not as elusive as Roger Staubach. Man, people do not understand. There's a reason why they called him Roger the Dodger. He was elusive. Straight up, man. Straight up moves. Straight up moves. Roger made dudes miss. He did. Woo, stop it. Bo Jackson. You hit it on the head, Bo Jackson. We can put Lawrence Taylor in that conversation too. LT, generational, man. Generational, lost in translation. Yeah, oh man, Bo. Whoo, boy, Bo now got hurt. Golly. Man, that Bo now got hurt. Whoo. Man, ain't no telling what we'd have saw from this dude. Ain't no telling what we would have saw from this dude. Let me see. Boy, Antoine, I was thinking about Megatron. Yes, Megatron, generational. I don't think we'll ever see anything like it. Megatron. When you have a name like Megatron, man, having a name like Megatron says everything you need to know about who this dude was. Golly, man. Never won. He never won. Man, there are so many unicorns people don't understand that didn't win. But what wins are the generational teams. That's what wins. That's what you want. Lawson said, he said they had Elastic too. You want the generational teams. And what the Detroit Lions, the Detroit Lions are actually disproving these arguments about the quarterback because Jared Goff is a good quarterback. I'm not sure you'll find a lot of people outside of the Detroit Lions fan base who will say he's a great quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I don't think Sean McVay gets rid of a great quarterback. I think Matthew Stafford is a great quarterback. I think he's better, of course, than Jared Goff. That's why Sean McVay went and got him. And that's why Sean McVay went and got him. But I think it's crazy that he went and got Jared Goff and he put even more players around Matthew Stafford, and that's how he got the chip. And it's funny to me that he hasn't been back. He hasn't been able to achieve that success again. He's trying to get there. And Kyle Shanahan is proven. Kyle Shanahan literally took Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo to the Super Bowl. You don't need a generational quarterback. You don't need a generational quarterback. What your goal is to build a generational team. That's what your goal is. And we may actually look back. We may actually look back on this Detroit Lion team. I don't know if it'll necessarily be generational, but man, that thing is loaded. Tony Simmons. This is one of the things, man, if we keep Mike McCarthy, I don't want them to let this man call plays again. I just don't want him to call plays again. This team needs a better play caller. It does. It does. And see, one of the things that we have to stop doing. Okay, enough about what the quarterback is not. Yeah, Cooper Rush is a backup. I mean, I've already destroyed this argument so many times. He's been a free agent 3 times. Nobody's picked him up. Cooper Rush don't be better than Dak Prescott. And the Cowboys don't use Cooper Rush as the bargaining chip. They don't go out and get Trey Lance. They say, Dak, we're going to get from under your contract. We're paying Cooper Rush peanuts. Do we not realize the Cowboys could have cut Dak Prescott? Not even re-signed him. Just cut him. Cooper Rush making peanuts. He's making less than Trey Lance. If Cooper Rush was that good, the Cowboys could have said, Dak, we're done with you. We're done with your contract. We're going to extend Cooper Rush. We're already paying him peanuts. Okay, we'll give him Cracker Jacks this time with a prize in the box. We'll let him play for $5 million for 1 year rather than $5 million for 2 years. Heck, we'll give him $10 million for 2 years. We'll let him play out the next 2 seasons, get from under your contract, Dak. Then we'll cut Cooper Rush. And then we'll go and get us a quarterback in the draft. If Cooper Rush is anything other than a backup, he ain't playing with the Cowboys. Stop it. I think Trey Lance is better. You don't need a generational quarterback. Most Super Bowls are won by game managers with a great team. Say it, Antoine. Say it. Because it's truth. Tom Brady's first 3 Super Bowls. This is why I say I got to see more from Patrick. Because when we watched Tom Brady, he didn't get to GOAT status until after the first 3 Super Bowls. Because the first 3 Super Bowls, they were not predominantly Tom Brady. They were defense. They were defense. Tom Brady was a game manager. Tom Brady was a game manager. It wasn't until the later Super Bowls that we saw Tom Brady start to put up these insane numbers. That's when we saw him start putting up the insane numbers, when he got older, when he got more cerebral. Not to mention, hey, man, it didn't hurt having Gronkowski. Skyscraper tall, Gronkowski. Probably one of the greatest tight ends to ever play the game. Rob Gronkowski is one of the greatest tight ends to ever play the game. Rob Gronkowski could actually be classified as a generational player. Simply because even when you look at the size of Ron Gronkowski, the dude was 6'6", 4'6", and weighed 265 pounds. Rob Gronkowski was a unicorn. He was a unicorn. And Tom Brady won quite a few Super Bowls with old Ron Gronkowski. And so, that becomes the issue with a lot of these. And this is what people miss. A lot of times we're giving quarterbacks we're giving quarterbacks way too much credit. we're giving him way too much credit. Sometimes we give them way too much credit, and then other times we're not giving them enough credit. But at the end of the day, I'll just be honest with you. I would love to build a team like some of these teams, like the 90s Cowboys were actually built. People don't understand this. But the 90s Cowboys were built in such a way that Troy Aikman didn't have to be the hero. He could be the hero. Troy Aikman didn't have to be the hero. The team was so good. The team could win in so many different ways. They were generational. The team, that team that Troy Aikman played on, it was generational, man. It is literally insane how good Troy Aikman teams were. And I know Troy Aikman knows it. Troy Aikman knows how good those teams were. He'll never tell you anything different. This is why you don't hear Tom Brady. This is why you don't hear Troy saying a lot of crazy stuff, because Troy knows how good those teams were. He does. He knows exactly how good those teams were. It was undeniable how good those teams were. Seeing if I could pull this up real quick. So I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to show you about Troy Aikman. I'm going to show you how good his teams were. I'm going to show you exactly how good his teams were. When you look at Troy Aikman's first Super Bowl, this was actually Troy Aikman's best Super Bowl. Troy Aikman's first Super Bowl, he was 22 of 30, 73% passing, 273 yards, 9.1 average, 4 TDs. I mean, it was insane what he did in that Super Bowl. But I also want us to understand. Let me go back and pull that. Let me pull something else up. That particular team, when Troy won with that team in 93, and I want you to notice this. So I got two different things pulled up here. That team in 93, a lot of people don't realize it. That team in 93, that was actually the peak of the superpowers. The 93 team, that was the peak of the superpowers of that team. That team was crazy with it. They were crazy with it. They beat the Buffalo Bills 52-17. That's how good that doggone team was. 52-17. Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman had 4 of those touchdowns. Well, where did the other ones come from? Hold on a second. Yeah, so when we think about those, where did the other touchdowns come from? It just goes to show you, and I want to show you this because, you know, I just wonder if some people saw this stuff. See, I saw this stuff. Some people be talking, they hadn't even seen this stuff. I saw this stuff. Let me see. Let's see if we can pull this up. All right, so right there, unavailable. Let's see if we can pull it up here. All righty. Okay, so what I'm trying to pull up here, what I'm trying to pull up here is I want to pull up the offense of the Cowboys in this game. Let's see if I can. Got to realize this stuff is old, so yeah, this stuff is old. So some of this, I'm pretty sure some of the stats they were keeping, they're not. I mean, they're just not keeping them like they are today. The stats today, you can just find anything you want almost. Troy Aikman was the Super Bowl MVP in that game. Because the person that I'm trying to look up in this game, let's see. Somebody in particular I want to look up, and that's what I want to show you. But I'm telling us these 90s Cowboys, man, and that they were at the pinnacle of the superpowers then. I'm telling you, man. The Cowboys in that 93, I mean, they smoked. They smoked the Buffalo Bills. They smoked the Buffalo Bills. But I'm going to show you also, when you come back around after that, the other two Super Bowls, they were not quite like that Super Bowl. Yeah, they were not quite like that Super Bowl. Because Troy Aikman won the MVP for the first one, but the second Super Bowl was actually Emmitt Smith. That's what I was trying to pull. I was actually trying to pull up the stats on it, but I can't find it. But the 93 season was the pinnacle of the superpowers for the Dallas Cowboys. The team was just so good. But then Buffalo came back the next season. This is why I say Jim Kelly needs to have a whole documentary about the fact that this doggone dude went to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row. That's insane to go 4 times in a row and you lose all 4 of them because you're running up against super teams or your doggone kicker is missing some kicks and things of that nature. But I want you to look at what happened with Troy Aikman the next 2 Super Bowls. Tell me this isn't insane. Troy Aikman almost had Cooper Rush numbers. Troy Aikman in the 93 Super Bowl, or I guess it would be the 93, 94 Super Bowl, Troy Aikman was 19 of 27 for 207 yards and he had 0 TDs and 1 interception. What do you think happened? What happened to Troy Aikman in that one? And they still won it. And they still won it 30-13. It was because Emmitt Smith and that offensive line, what was it? Yeah, I think it was 30-13. They dominated. Now, I talked about this the other day. This is when they fired Jimmy Johnson. They fired Jimmy Johnson at the end of the 94 season. So in the 95-96 season, the Cowboys got beat by the San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers had added Deion Sanders to the team. And Deion Sanders kind of did a little bit of a job on Michael Irvin, but I think it was pass interference. Deion Sanders did some cheating on Michael Irvin because Michael Irvin was an absolute beast. But Troy Aikman in that 95, I think it was, Troy Aikman in that 95 playoff game, Troy Aikman had, 3 interceptions or was it 4? And they wound up losing the game. And the 49ers went to the Super Bowl that year. Yeah, the game wound up being, I don't know if y'all remember this game, but I remember this game like yesterday. Troy Aikman threw 3 interceptions in that game. The Cowboys, I believe they got down, let's see if they got the score. The Cowboys either got down 21-3 or 28-3. I wish they would have showed the the pieces up here. But the Cowboys got so far down that by the time they had to come back out and come back, which they kind of staged, I guess you could say, somewhat of a ferocious comeback, but it was too little too late. Troy, and I'm saying it, Troy Aikman dug such a hole for the Cowboys. They couldn't dig their way out. They couldn't dig their way out. They couldn't. They couldn't dig their way out of that game. And so the Cowboys, what they did is because Deion Sanders made such an impact on that game, Jerry Jones turned around the next season and he went and got none other than Deion Sanders. And then the Dallas Cowboys in that 95-96 season, the Dallas Cowboys actually won their first Super Bowl against none other than the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was the first Super Bowl they actually won in 3 tries against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm sorry, y'all remember the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers at that time? I think the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers in that last Super Bowl the Cowboys played, I think his name was Neil O'Donnell. And he literally turned Larry Brown into a star by throwing 2 of the most insane interceptions you will ever see in your whole life. I mean, he literally threw them right to Larry Brown. I mean, it was like there was no one in the vicinity. And he throws 2 interceptions to Larry Brown. And look at Troy Aikman's numbers in that Super Bowl. How do you win that Super Bowl 27-17 and Troy Aikman has these numbers? Troy Aikman was 15 of 23. Troy Aikman had 1 touchdown in that game. These are Cooper Rush numbers. I know people don't like what I'm saying. These are Cooper Rush numbers. These are those numbers that people keep talking about Jalen Hurts with. 19 of 23, 209. 19 of 27, 207. You know why they were able to win like this? And even how Troy was able to do 22 of 30? Because Emmitt Smith and that line was at the peak, in a sense, of their powers. And Troy Aikman ate off play action in that first Super Bowl. And that's why they dominated. But it was strange in the second and the third Super Bowl. Troy Aikman was what you call pedestrian. I mean, he didn't throw a lot of yards in the first one, but he was highly efficient. But the second and the third one, 70% percentage in completion, that's pretty good. But 65%? Troy Aikman was not generational. I keep proving this to people, and they get mad about it, but it's true. Troy Aikman was not generational. So when you start seeing stuff like people saying, you know, we need a generational quarterback. No, you don't need a generational quarterback. That is not the facts, Jack. You do not need a generational quarterback. You need to do the same thing Jimmy Johnson did for Troy Aikman. When they made that Herschel Walker trade, Jimmy Johnson, I already showed you the roster. Jimmy Johnson went and put a super team. Jimmy Johnson went and put a super team around Troy Aikman. And I said it the other day, and I hadn't thought about it until I was talking about it. But what Jimmy did is that Jimmy actually built the Dallas Cowboys the way college teams get built. You ever notice college teams? They don't necessarily have to have the best quarterbacks. But what they do is they load them down. They load them down with players on both sides of the field. They load them down. They load them down. I mean, Alabama has always had the best receivers, always had the best offensive linemen, always had the best running backs, always had the best cornerbacks, always had the best D-lines and linebackers. But the one thing they're not known for having the best is quarterbacks. Even though Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa have been successful by Alabama quarterback standards, because most of them didn't do well. Tua Tagovailoa, I mean, a lot of people would argue they wouldn't have gave him the money. And I don't know if Miami is going to cash in on that money with his head issues. And we see how people talk about Jalen Hurts. But Jalen Hurts isn't a dynamic quarterback. He's a winning quarterback. He's a dual threat quarterback. He's all of those things. But when you talk about what they do in college, they load those teams up with players. And that's what Jimmy was smart enough to do for Troy. He loaded them up with players. And when you load a team up with players, they're going to win. Daniel says, yeah, I just want you to, that you bring the true facts on our team. And I want to say thank you for bringing the truth out about the team. I really think that Rush and Lance are going to be gone in 2025. Book it. Book it. Book it, Daniel. Jerry Jones doesn't like Cooper Rush the way people think he does. And the way we know he doesn't like Cooper Rush the way he says he does, because the proof is in the pudding. Every argument someone makes for Cooper Rush, I destroy them with the same question. If Cooper Rush is this mythical unicorn, why is he still with the Cowboys? Why is he still backing up Dak Prescott at 30, about to be 31? Why is it no other NFL team feels like the fanatical, insane Dallas Cowboy fans who be saying stuff like, in Rush we trust? Why is no other team saying, well, we want to trust in Rush too? They've never approached the Cowboys about a 4th round draft pick, a 5th round draft pick, a 6th round draft pick, a 7th round draft pick. We've seen him be a free agent, and nobody has said, we're going to pick up Cooper Rush. The proof is in the pudding. There is no backup quarterback that's that good, and they're going to continue to be a backup quarterback. I don't bring in Cooper Rush as the bargaining chip if Cooper Rush is that good. This discussion is insanity. It's insanity. And this is the very reason I will not be surprised if Cooper Rush, if he is the quarterback here next year, it'll probably be because nobody wanted him, and the Cowboys will be able to get him dirt cheap. They will. They'll be able to get him so cheap that he'll be the backup again. But I said this today. If Cooper Rush is that good, why would you come back to the Cowboys? This is the most, this argument that only the Dallas Cowboys, it's insane. Only the Dallas Cowboy fans make this argument. No scouts, no teams other than Terry Bradshaw on crack. No one else is making this dumb discussion. They're not. It's dumb. Cooper Rush is what he is. He's a career backup. And that's not saying anything bad about him. I mean, you can't be more than what you are. If people are, you are what you, I guess you think you are in a sense, but you also are what people, as in playing football, you are what people are willing to pay you to. That speaks volumes. No one is trying to get Cooper Rush. And I promise you, if he hits that open market next year, he'll just be a backup quarterback for another team. I mean, he's literally making less than Trey Lance. It's crazy. I think we're going to draft a quarterback in the 5th round. I think if Mike McCarthy has his way, he probably will. The kid Dylan Gabriel from Oregon is a left-handed quarterback, and he's talented. When is the first time that the Cowboys had a left-handed quarterback? Man, I don't know. Let's see. I was wondering. There's a name that's coming to my mind, but I'm not sure. Cowboys left-handed quarterback. It doesn't like they've had one other than Will Greer. And, of course, we can't really call him a Cowboy, even though I think he's on the team now. I mean, he hasn't played. So it'd be different. It would definitely be different. Not mean just a Cowboys fan that doesn't like our quarterback situation right now, rather the Trey Lance interceptions and all. I'm telling you, the Cooper Rush show is going to end. Once the Cowboys, I believe, lose 2 more games, which I think they will lose 2 more games, the Cooper Rush thing will be over. The Cowboys will be playing Trey Lance. The Cowboys now are only saying they're playing Trey Lance because they say he gives them the best chance to win, because they're saying that they have a chance at the playoffs. But once they get knocked off twice, which I think they're going to get knocked off twice in the next 3 weeks if they don't get knocked off 3 times, I believe between the Bengals, the Bucks, and the Panthers, the Cowboys are going to come back to earth, and I think they're going to lose 2 of those games. And when they lose 2 of those games, they're going to probably bring in Trey Lance. Trey Lance, they're going to give Trey Lance an opportunity to start, I believe. I just think they're trying to, at this point, they're trying to satisfy the Cooper Rush madness of we can make a run with Cooper Rush. So they're going to let him play until they lose. And when they play, I guarantee you, they lose 2 games, Cooper Rush done. We're going to see Trey Lance. And I believe we're going to see Trey Lance. I believe the Trey Lance train will probably begin after the Panthers game. I think it'll begin after the Panthers game. And I think it'll be no later than I could see Trey Lance being the starter in the Philadelphia Eagles and the Commanders game. I mean, I'm just sorry. I love the Dallas Cowboys. There is no way the Cowboys are winning out. They're just not winning out. They're not good. We don't understand what I'm saying because we love the Cowboys. But we're just not good. We're not good. And that's the facts. I think we're a team that's going to be good. I think we're a team that's got some good pieces. I think we're a team that's missing our quarterback, regardless of what people are saying. We're missing our quarterback. We need our starting quarterback. Because if we had our starting quarterback, we would probably already be at 7 wins. I mean, he won 3 with this atrocious team. And a lot of the yards, it's crazy that the Cowboys are still leading or they're still in the pack in the passing yards and the passing stats because Dak Prescott was still it was not a good year for him based on what he did the previous year. But it was a good year by average standards. I mean, it was. Dak was putting up some yards. But I think the Cowboys, I mean, we just got to admit it is what it is. And Cooper Rush isn't what people are. I'm sorry, but people are pure liars. Cooper Rush is a backup. He couldn't start for any team in this league unless the starting quarterback got hurt. Someone says that's not true. It is true because he's still a backup on the Cowboys, and he went to the New York Giants. He couldn't win a job with the Giants. He's a backup quarterback, and he probably couldn't be a backup quarterback for a whole lot of teams, and that's the facts, Jack. Only the Cowboy fans who hate Dak Prescott say these stupid, dumb things that no other team is thinking. And I bet you right now, the competitive part of Joe Burrow says, I'd rather be playing Dak Prescott. I literally would rather be playing Dak Prescott. Now, if you just want to beat the Cowboys, you're glad to see Cooper Rush. Because I'm telling you, we keep talking about Micah Parsons. The Cincinnati Bengals have got a serious pass rusher over there too. And he's one of the top pass rushers in the league. 11 and a half sacks on the season. I think after today's game, he's no longer the leader. But before today's games, he was the leader in sacks, if I'm not mistaken. They got a great pass rusher, and no one's been able to stop him from getting sacks either. So we're going to be in for a game, whether we accept it or not. we're going to be in for a game, and we keep thinking what our defense is going to do because we're saying that the Cincinnati Bengals defense is so bad, but the Cincinnati Bengals, while their defense isn't good, they do have pieces on the defense because to me, our defense isn't good. But we got pieces on our defense that are good. Deron Bland, Demarion Overshown, Micah Parsons. We got pieces. I mean, we're still kind of like, okay, Mozzie, they're hit and miss. They're getting better. But when we talk about great players on our defense, we got about 3 great players on our defense. Trayvon Diggs, of course, hasn't been great this season, but we got about 3 great players on this defense. So the Cincinnati Bengals, well, they got a couple of great players on defense too, and they're going to come to play. So, I mean, we just got to admit, man, it is what it is. We're not good. We got some good pieces. We got some things that we can say, man, looking forward to kind of what could be next year if we add some pieces around what we got. But we're just not a good team. We're not a good team. And so the chances of us winning out, I mean, it's just insanity. I don't understand this fanatical, insane fan base. It's absolutely crazy to me when we start saying some of the things that we're saying, and it just shows you it's a pure hate. It's a pure hate nature is what it is, because I'm still dumbfounded at how we don't see logic. I don't understand. It is crazy to me to even fathom this. The Buccaneers smoked the Giants 30-7. I mean, they literally smoked the Giants. Smoked them. Dominated them. 451 total yards. 294 passing yards. 157 rushing yards. 7.3 yards per play. I mean, they literally dominated. Time of possession. They're missing people too. They're missing a lot of their weapons on offense. But they managed to go out and literally hold the Giants. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers held the New York Giants to 7 points. The Buccaneers did that. You got to explain to me that if the Buccaneers held them to 7 points, now you got to explain to me, how are we bragging? And we couldn't hold this team even with 3 turnovers. We couldn't hold this team below 20 points? What? And we're literally saying that we're about to go undefeated? And Cooper Rush has only scored an average of 2 touchdowns per game. That's all this offense is good for with Cooper Rush is 2 touchdowns. And we're literally saying we're going to go out and hold the Bengals, who we couldn't hold we held them, and I don't even know if you call it holding. They scored 20, and now we're saying we're going to hold Joe Burrow, who's 1,000 times better than Drew Lock. Their receivers are better than the receivers, and Neighbors is going to be a beast. Their receivers are better than the Giants. Their tight end is better than the Giants. Their running game is better than the Giants. And we're saying that we held this team to 20, and then we're going to hold the Bengals to the same thing, and the Steelers couldn't hold them? I can't even argue with people like this. I can't even argue with people like this. It's crazy talk. It's literal crazy talk. We haven't held any of these teams that we've been playing. We have not held them. The Bucks held them. Isn't that crazy? And then to add insult to injury, the bleeping New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints came out and held this stinking team to 11 points? So you're telling me we're better than the Saints defense? Because if we're better than the Saints defense, it didn't translate in the game. It didn't translate. And look at this. They had less turnovers against the Saints. Less turnovers. And the Saints committed turnovers. And the Saints still beat them 14-11. We didn't hold them to 11 points. But we're expecting tomorrow night, or now it's tonight. We're expecting tonight to run out here and beat the Bengals, who has a high-powered offense. I don't understand. If Zimmer couldn't do it against the Giants, how is he going to do it against the Tony Simmons? How can a quarterback who's only averaged 2 touchdowns since he's been the starter, how can a quarterback who's only averaged 2 touchdowns on this offense per game, how is he going to score with Joe Burrow? I'm telling y'all, I just don't believe we're stopping the Bengals. I just don't believe it. If we do, I'll be the first one to say, man, it's no big deal. I mean, I love the Cowboys. And I've been saying all year, Mike Zimmer's been doing more with less. Mike Zimmer is the coach to me. They're talking about Mike McCarthy. I think the coach that probably deserves the most a chance to come back here is actually Mike Zimmer, because he's been the coach who's done the best on this team. Mike Zimmer has balled out on this team and what he did when they were injured. He has balled out. But when we think about the Cowboys, man, and we start talking about this dumb Cooper Rush talk, it's dumb, it's idiotic, it's stupid. This is a shootout right here. You want to see what a shootout looks like with Cooper Rush? This is a shootout. This is a shootout with Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush threw the ball 55 times. 354 yards, and he only managed 1 TD. You got to tell me, how do you throw the ball 55 times? How do you throw the ball 55 times and you only amass 1 touchdown? Can you imagine if Joe Burrow threw the ball 55 times? How many touchdowns do you think he's averaging? How many touchdowns is he averaging? I promise you that he's not throwing the ball 55 times and completing 32 and only get 1 TD. I promise you that's not happening. CJ Stroud only threw the ball 34 times, he completed 23. He didn't even get a touchdown. The Cowboys couldn't stop Joe Mixon. This was the same defense that was improved. They couldn't stop Joe Mixon. He got 3 TDs. And Stroud still managed to throw some pretty good throws. But this is a shootout for Cooper Rush right here. That's a shootout. There's no way Cooper Rush can throw you 4 touchdowns. There's no way. The Cowboys are one of the worst teams in the red zone. There's no way. And a part of their problem in the red zone is Cooper Rush. There's no way. And I'm laughing at people who make this dumb argument. You're arguing against the tape. You're arguing against the numbers. You're arguing against the analytics. You're arguing against everything that we have seen. And I said it at the beginning of this live stream. At this stage of the season, you are what you are. You don't hardly make improvements from what you are at this stage. You're just more of the same. You're just more of the same. And now we're saying that the Cowboys, with a beat up CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, who wasn't doing anything before then, before he got hurt, Tolbert, we're not even playing Flournoy, Jalen Brooks, Jonathan Mingo, Ferguson got some serious issues going on. You're telling me that with that offense, we're crazy enough to think that we're going to shoot out. I can't argue with people like this. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to tell you. What the difference is that the defense and the special teams. So, Richard, I've already made this argument. How long do you think that lasts? How long do you think it lasts? You eventually have to line up in front of a team, and you have to literally be better than them. Special teams is not going to keep saving Cooper Rush. Demarion Overshown, pick up a blitz, tip the ball, intercept it, run it in the end zone. So you think that's going to keep happening? It's not. Because you're not playing the same type of quarterback. Joe Burrow is Jaden Daniels and Cooper Rush times 100. They're not in the same league. Jaden Daniels is going to be good. It's going to be great. He's not in the same league as Joe Burrow. Name me the wide receiver that the Giants and the Commanders have. That's T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. I'll wait, but I won't hold my breath. We're entering into a different territory. This is different territory. I'm laughing that we keep looking at what we're doing, but we're not looking at, I promise you, if we were doing what Cincinnati is doing, we wouldn't be half as mad. We wouldn't be half as mad because we would be saying, man, our offense is insane. It's our defense that's letting us down. We wouldn't be talking a lot like we were talking before. But this defense is not going to, everything that you're looking at shows you we're speaking against logic. It's not happening. And even with, watch this. So even with those insane plays, we scored 27 against the Giants. We scored 34 against the Commanders. Still not enough to beat the Bengals. It's not enough. It's not enough to beat the Bengals. They're going to score. And they're going to score big. You watch what I tell you. I think Zimmer deserves a shot to come back if you can give him players. Hurting Burrow is the only way, and I'm not. You know what, though, Tony? I'm sorry, but it's the truth. The only way you're gonna do it. I hate to say it, but shorty, what else can you do? We couldn't hold Jaden Daniels. We're not even hearing the logic of what I'm saying. We got people who are literally, I want you to just look at this. Look at this. We're not even comprehending how we're trending. Did we stop Jalen Hurts? Nope. Did we stop C.J. Stroud? Nope. We stopped Jaden Daniels, but we couldn't hold him the whole game. If not for a botched extra point, I think we're having a different game. I'm sorry, we didn't even stop Drew Lock. We didn't. He scored as much as Cooper Rush. Maybe if he would have got help from his defense and they almost got it. Cooper Rush knee hits down just right before the fumble. We were having a different discussion then because the Giants probably pulled that game off. So you're telling me this defense couldn't stop Jalen Hurts. Micah Parsons was back. We couldn't stop C.J. Stroud. Micah Parsons was back. We couldn't stop Jaden Daniels the whole game. Micah Parsons was back. We barely stopped Drew Lock. Micah Parsons was back. So now you're telling me with a quarterback that's these quarterbacks in these teams are not in the same league with Joe Burrow. They're not in the same league. So you're telling me we're stopping them. I don't know what else to tell you then. I don't know what else to tell you. Only scored 10 points, scored 55 times. Tony Simmons, I'm telling us. I don't know what else to tell us. When Dak was playing, they had the worst O-line in the NFL and no running game. Now they have better players. No, they don't. That's the fool's gold, Richard. That's the fool's gold. No, you don't. You have some things that are working better, but look who they're working better against. So let me repeat my case. Let me plead my case again. Didn't work against the Eagles. Didn't work against Texans. It worked against the Commanders, but I think they caught Dan Quinn sleeping. But I can actually make an argument that it didn't work against the Giants. It didn't. Demarion Overshown's tip, interception, touchdown was the difference in the game. Take that away. What kind of game do you have? Because it looked like we were basically on the way to losing that game. We couldn't get close to the end zone. It was 7-6. We couldn't get in the end zone. We're one of the worst teams in the league. We're bottom feeder in the red zone, even with quote-unquote improvements. So we're saying that we're all of a sudden going to come out tomorrow and we're going to do everything that we haven't been doing. You are what you are by this time in the season. You are. And everything we've seen from the Dallas Cowboys, you may not realize it. We've been exactly the same. The competition, the Eagles was good. The Texans, okay. The Commanders, people argue they're fraudulent. The Giants, trash. They scored 20 points on us. I'm laughing. We're going to continue this discussion tomorrow because I'm telling you, the Bengals, I don't know what we're talking about here. I don't even understand. We're the crazy part to me is we're saying stuff that we have not seen. There's no indicator. There's no indicator we're going to stop a Joe Burrow because we actually haven't stopped, even with Micah Parsons back, even with Demarion Overshown playing as well as he's played. We haven't been playing good quarterbacks. Joe Burrow's different. I'm just telling you. He's different. He's different. He's different. Joe Burrow's different. And it's the bottom line. He's different. No one else has done it. We're not better than Pittsburgh. Our defense is not better than Pittsburgh. And our quarterback is not better than Russell Wilson. He shot him out. He did. There's no way Cooper Rush is better than Russell Wilson. I believe the league has us to win out so that, no, it's not happening. No. Actually, the ratings are going to go through the roof because they've already built the Cowboys up, and now everybody's going to watch them tumble down. The ratings are going to really go up because now people are going to watch us lose. Because I'm telling you, the media has built us up so they can tear us down. we're gonna be the biggest story. What's the bigger story? Mike McCarthy winning out, or the team rallying around Mike McCarthy and they lose out? I bet you the media would much rather the Dallas Cowboys lose out, because that's the bigger story. Because all these Cowboy fans have all of a sudden rallied behind Mike McCarthy. What are they going to do if he lose? Overshown Michael and company has to play lights out. That's it. And our corners can hold up, but not that long. That's it. But I can tell you what's going to happen, Tony. I'm not even worried about DeRon Bland. Whatever receiver DeRon Bland is not on, that's the receiver I'm throwing to. And if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, it's simple for me, because the Cowboys do not like their cornerbacks to travel. I'm going to keep Jamar Chase. I'm going to keep him in motion. I'll either keep him in motion, I'll keep T. Higgins in motion. But whatever I do, if Trayvon Diggs is out there, that's who I'm throwing on. I'm throwing all over him. All over him. That generational green got me still listening around this time. Rico is the same on AI. You know what? I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, this game I'm excited about, because I think we're gonna see something. We keep talking about what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna be surprised. Everything we've been hearing about the Cincinnati Bengals defense, I'm not gonna be shocked. They're gonna come out and they're gonna look totally different against us. You know why? Because Cooper Rush the quarterback. Cooper Rush is the quarterback. Their defense is going to look different against us. And all this talk about Cincinnati, oh, the defense is not that good. Watch how they look against us. You watch what I tell you. You watch how they look against us. Tony said, I wouldn't take my word if you're betting on your buddy or your pig. Richard said that the game today will allow us to see what the plan is for the rest of the season, because if they allow 2 touchdowns Cooper to win the game, then we will know that the league is fixing game. Hey, man, I'm telling you, boy, we played the weak part of the schedule. Yep. And I'm not Nostradamus. I just know what I see, and I don't trust Cooper Rush. What indication that he's given us to trust him? He can only score 20 points. That was even in 2022. Cooper Rush is good for 20 points. That's it. I absolutely hate to see it, but Brew is right. We are the tomato cans. Yes, it's crazy. It's crazy. Richard said Dak is a better quarterback than Cooper, but the world loves a Captain America, and Cooper fits the best story for this season. Richard, I ain't gonna even argue with you on that. That's deep. That's deeper than most people understand what you're saying. That's deep. Daniel said, gee, if we beat the Bengals, what will you say? I was wrong. I was wrong. And the thing is, Daniel, I also, if we do beat them, I want to see how we did it. Because if we did it, I'm going to tell you, if we beat them, our defense turned Joe Burrow over and scored. Micah strip sack fumbled him, took it to the crib. Overshown strip sack fumbled him, took it to the crib. Kevontae Turpin returned the kick. I guarantee you, if they do, it's going to be because of something insane like that. It'll be something insane like that. Miss Matrix says, because Cooper Rush is the quarterback and every team swear it's their Super Bowl playing us, everyone even get their hair cut before. Yes. That part, they don't understand, Miss Matrix. Let me tell you something. Y'all don't think the Cincinnati Bengals are hyped up? Prime time game. Cincinnati gonna be hyped up. They gonna be hyped up, y'all. They're the only thing on. You better believe they're gonna be hyped up. They're going to be up for this game. They are. And the only reason, as much as I love the Cowboys, the reason why I'm looking at the Bengals and talking about them the way I am is Joe Burrow. I'm sorry. I mean, he's just, I can't even disrespect this man by saying that Cooper Rush is going to beat him. Unless that defense plays lights out like in 2022. But I don't think it's going to be the same. Jamar Chase is chasing the contract. Jamar Chase is chasing the contract. Jamar Chase is chasing the contract right now. This man is trying his best to he trying to do this thing. T. Higgins, he chasing the contract too. He's chasing the contract. And these guys are not, it's amazing to me because while Deron Bland is the real deal, the issue is Trayvon Diggs isn't the Trayvon Diggs that faced Jamar Chase in 2022. Trayvon Diggs is worse, but Jamar Chase is better than what he was when Diggs saw him the last time. And I'm going to be shocked. I wouldn't be surprised if he don't play. Tony said, good night. Yeah, I'm about to get off too. Have a great night, G and the Cowboys. Thanks for great interactions. Keep up the good work, bro. Appreciate you. I will be on your journey. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to do our pregame show. I'll be put some stuff together for the pregame. Appreciate all y'all. I did not realize he lost to the Texans. Yeah, he lost to you talking about him. Yeah, Burrow. I'm sure you're talking about Rush. You don't love the Cowboys. You stuck in the past. No, I'm actually in the present. Cooper Rush is not good enough. He's the backup quarterback, period. G. Burrow bought the Batmobile. Boy, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. How many times with the broadcast show that picture here during the game? Yeah, man, I saw that for sure. You don't get it, CB. You don't understand this thing. When I'm telling you, man, you're not a strategist. I'm not worried about Bland. I know who Bland is. I'm going to throw on everybody who not Bland. I'm going to make it easy on myself. Why am I going to make it hard? I'm just going to take turns the same way the Eagles did. I'm going to put Chase and Higgins on your worst cornerback. Why am I going to line them up against Bland? How stupid is that? Bland is the best cornerback for the Cowboys. If I'm the Bengals, it's going to be tag team. Whichever one of y'all is not on Bland, I'm throwing it to you because the other cornerbacks can't do nothing with you. And I'll be honest with you. Hey, man, I want to see the battle between Chase and Bland because I don't think Burrow going to run from it. Burrow ain't going to run from that. And I'm going to tell you, Deron Bland takes some chances too. He's a ball hawk, but he takes some chances. So we're going to see. But Burrow ain't going to run from that challenge. I promise you. Cowboys fans know this team has no business in the playoffs. Since he will prove tonight, but the blind fans won't accept it. You hit it on the head, Alan. They won't accept it. They will not accept it. Tony says anyone who argues with you about your fandom is a follower. Gee, if we had the Batmobile, we'd be cruising through all this. We go have some parties. Man, let me tell you. Man, if I was Joe Shiesty, boy, I'd drive that thing to the game tomorrow if I was Joe Shiesty, man. I would. Good night. Yeah, I'm about to go out too. All right. Y'all hit that like button, that subscribe button. We're going to do the pregame show, and then we're going to do the postgame show, man. We're going to be Cowboys all day long tomorrow. I'll probably come on around 5, go from 5 to 7, and then I'll come back on about 10, 15, and, man, we're going to talk Cowboys too late tomorrow night. Because if the Cowboys win, let me tell y'all something y'all already know. This fan base is going crazy. And the CBs, man, all them Dak Prescott haters, boy, they going to be out of it grows, boy. They going to be talking about the mythical unicorn. Cooper Rush again. Alan says, I saw a Tesla with a star on the hood. Let us know who you are, buddy. Jerry knows you are the man. Yes, sir. I'm telling this, man. But, hey, man, I'm so excited This game, man, it's like a playoff game. It really is. It's like a playoff game. I'm excited about it. Burrow driving that Batmobile to the Cowboys field. Burrow gonna be posted in front of it. Gabe, appreciate the facts, G. Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Appreciate all y'all, man. So again, we're gonna be back tomorrow, man. It's all day. It's all day, all Cowboys tomorrow, boy. We're gonna have some fun. So again, until the next time, let's talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Peace.